Thank you. Welcome, Truth and Transparency. What is good? Woo-wee. Here we go. Happy Sunday, everybody. Let me go ahead and back this out. Live. Welcome. You guys are in on the investigation. Boom. All right. Again, good evening. Another live episode. You guys are involved. Idaho4, picking and choosing the evidence and leads. How did this all, unfold? Who was going to be in charge of what with the Idaho4 case? And, the more information that comes out, then you have to go back and take a look at when information kind of came out earlier on. Or, for example, we have proof here. James Patterson is saying that he had sources, and he's actually citing those sources, and he's saying what chapter, what pages you can find. He goes through it all, and he says, hey, this is where I got this information from. This is who I got it from. Okay. So I really want to focus on the fact that when this first happened, the investigators would have said, okay, what do we know? What have we been told? What's the information? Because what we know is the facts, then what we were told, the information that we're receiving is, but this is information that we have, but we can't corroborate this. And then a third column there is what are the logic inferences that we can take from the evidence? What's logical? I think this is where, for me, Dylan and Bethany would create a big problem for the information that we're being told. Okay, so for example, I'm just going to use this as an example so everybody can see this. According to James Fry, how the case was divided, according to James Fry, they had a victimology team, they had an interview team, they had a forensics team, video and local CCTV, canvassing collectors, tip management crew, and then a note-taking team. And I said, note-taking team? I said, I can't wait to see what they think about that. For example, who made the decision to process Eric Grower's car on 11/18/2022? Why would you ever process Eric Grower's car on 11/18/2022? For example, in the Brian Dre case, when they wanted to know what Eldora Gatchell's vehicle looked like, they told Eldora Gatchell to get outside and take pictures of her SUV from every angle, like the left side, the right side, the front, the back, and then email it to me. That's what Leslie Lehman did. And then Leslie Lehman took those images and then looked at the surveillance cameras to locate. Oh, there's the pilot. So obviously, Kaylee and Maddie took a ride from this guy. He's saying they took a ride from me. But why would they ever think? So going back to this, what we know is facts. For some reason, right? Hey, we need to go process Eric Grower's car. Why? Well, I don't believe that they really needed to process his car. Did they just want to take pictures of it? They could have just said, hey, take pictures of your car, send it to us. Or they could have just drove past his house. Or when he came in for interview, take pictures of it like they did with another guy from the Brian Drake case. They took pictures of this guy's truck. So for me, it's just interesting. What information or tips did they come across where they're like, hey, you know what? We should probably process Eric Grower's car, because if you think about it, there's going to be their DNA in the car because they just took a ride from him. And then if you're thinking, well, we're going to check to see if there's blood in there. Well, that would mean that you have reason to believe that the girls were killed earlier. If you think about that. Or that Eric Grower had to come back to the scene of where they live because he was coming back there and, all right, well, let's just check his car to see if there's anything in it. And it's like, okay, well, why didn't you do that on 14th when you met with him. So here on the 18th, we're gonna look at Eric Grower's car. So think about that for a second. You know, what new information came about? Well, that when Eric, I don't know, was interviewed the first time with Blaker, he was re-interviewed then by what's his dick? Van Leuven. So somebody made it their decision that, hey, we're going to have Van Leuven re-interview him. Well, Van Leuven's part of the interview team, but he's also part of the team that's interviewing out in he's in the CDA area. So why did Van Leuven and Tollison, why were they tasked with that? Did you not like the answers that Eric gave? Did Blaker do a shitty job asking him questions? Okay, now the geofence. Okay, what time was this geofence set up? You know, early on in the investigation, there was talks about that they thought potentially somebody could have been waiting for Maddie and Kaylee inside the house. Okay, so if that's the case, well, did they set up a geofence to take a look at stuff at 10 or 11 p.m. and to see whose phones are in the area that maybe shouldn't be because they're, I don't know, they're staking out the place, waiting, going inside and waiting? And so if that's the case, if you ever thought that at the beginning, then wouldn't you be saying, hey, we need a geofence maybe earlier? So there'd be discussions about all of this, right? Also, for example, let's see. Well, let's go like this. I want to recap some stuff that James Patterson put in his book for the day of 11/12 to 11/13. And the people that he used as his sources are people that now we're like, oh my God, we finally have, when I read this book and we all talked about this book back in the day, we didn't have what we have now. Okay, this book came out before we were able to get these reports and, more importantly, the interviews themselves. Okay? So let's take a look at something. This is a good old James Patterson's book. And so on Saturday, November 12th at 8 a.m., Emily wakes up. And so she's the source for what she did about going to the game. And she's part of the recruiting, football staff. At 11:30, Xana summons people urgently to King Road. Get over here. She texts, so right there's Josie a dozen times. So Josie's the source of that. Josie's the source of that. She had her hair in 2 braids, blah, blah, blah. By noon, everyone gathered at the King Road house. Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, Xana, Dylan, Bethany, Hunter, all these people, okay? 1 o'clock, they moved the party over to the Whites, where Emily and Josie's room are and where the Afies have an apartment. 2 o'clock, Xana tugs at Ethan because we're going to take that picture. Hunter takes the picture, okay? Awesome. Now, okay. 3 o'clock, the group returns to not where Emily and Josie live, but the other person's apartment there, which would be Kaylee's basically sorority sisters, where Hunter, Johnson, Ethan, and Xana are watching the Auburn versus Alabama game. And that's when this is coming from Hunter Johnson. Hey, will you guys come with me to oh my God. Yeah, I need that right now. Yeah, you can go ahead and print that. Sorry, we just have breaking news over here. You guys are going to just hit the floor. Okay. You guys were bringing it tonight. We're bringing all of it tonight. We're bringing it all tonight. Josie's definitely on a vacation far away. So going back over here, at 4, Hunter was distracted and he put his phone down and he forgets about it. And then Maddie and Dylan eye it and they decide to take, selfies and stuff like that. 4:30, you want to come to the game with me? Ethan's like, yeah, no. And then 7 o'clock, it's time for this formal at the local brewery. Now remember who his sources are: Maisie, Hunter Chapin, Emily. I'm going to point out when it would be like, hey, we have to question this. But right here, the people that he's talking to would be the source for this. And he's talking to these people. 9 o'clock. Once the formal is over, and it's actually a little bit before that, but because then I looked at Maisie's interview with, what's her name? Vargas, Danny Vargas. And she goes home, and Ethan takes her home, and they are all in that same Explorer. And when they go home, she gets dropped off there, and then they leave. Now, this is where it gets interesting. According to Dylan, hold on one second. What is that? Is this mine? Thank you. Josie's on a vacation far away. There we go. Thank you. Very, very helpful for tonight's show. Yeah. Fucking out of states. Okay. Got it. Okay. Boom. I will spill the news here in a second. So the formal's over. Maisie's brothers tried to persuade her to keep partying with them, but Maisie's tired. She's going to go home, drop her off. Now, 9:30 p.m. This is the first wow. According to Dylan and mostly Bethany, okay? Bethany says that she goes to the Sigma Chi party and she goes over there with Ethan, Maddie, and Xana. That's what she says in her interviews. Well, according to James Patterson's book, okay, the Chapin brothers go to the Sigma Chi fraternity house on Nez Pierce Drive across from the field of 1122 King Road. Xana is there already, which is huge for me. That's interesting. Okay. Because that brings in the question mark of, well, are you getting that information from Hunter Chapin? Are you getting that information from who? Because that's completely opposite of what Bethany has said in her interviews, saying that that Bethany, Maddie, and Xana and Ethan walked over and went to the party. Now, according to James Patterson and his sources, which are not Bethany and not Dylan, okay, which is like, how do you get this fucking wrong? So anyways, just take it for what it's worth. Next. The reason it's important is because of where the car would be located. Okay? This is why it's important. Okay? I'm just going to tell you. I'm not even going to ask you to use your heads. It's important because of where the vehicle, the Explorer, was located. If they did not drive to 1122 King Road and drop off the Explorer, and that it would have been there from 9 o'clock, okay, then, and instead they drove it to Sigma Chi, okay, then when does the Explorer make its way over to the house? Ding, ding, ding. That's why it's important. It's when anybody wants to say, well, who cares? Who cares if they fucking went with all of them or none of them, or they all got there by themselves and blah, blah. Well, it's important because the Explorer for the 429 car, that's when does the Explorer end up at 1122 King Road? That's the important part. Okay. And so if So who's the source of the information? And I'm telling you, the only person that I would believe it would be the most important source for that would be Hunter Chapin. I think Hunter Chapin would know after he dropped off his sister, okay, and him and Ethan drop her off. They actually go inside and they have a bunch of sandwiches, and they get back in the vehicle and they leave with people, okay. Did you guys drive to 1122 King Road house? Okay, or did you go to the Sigma Chi house? And according to James Patterson, they did not go to 1122 King Road. It doesn't say that. So it's really important, because then why and how and would that vehicle end up over there? Next. Now, it also means, just because he didn't say it, means, I don't know if James Patterson didn't ask about it, but he would think that if you were writing a book like this, that you'd be asking, hey, so how did the vehicle end up over there at 1122? You know, especially after he heard that Xana was already at the party. So next. So that's a big one. At 10 p.m., the fraternity party is in full swing. Ethan wants his friends to enjoy it with him. Where are you? Ethan texts Hunter. That's from Hunter Johnson. That's the source. Emily is in bed asleep. Hunter Johnson's the source. Now, this is where we get into holy ball sack. Okay, this is where it's either Hunter and Emily can come clean and say, listen, we just told Ethan this because we did not want to go to the Sigma Chi party. Okay, so I said that I was sleeping, but really we were at the Whites and we were hanging out with people, and because we didn't want to go there. The fuck? And we've all done that, guys. We've all didn't want to hurt people's feelings and just was like, oh, I'm tired, or oh, so-and-so's so sleeping, and we're just like laying low. The reason I'm saying there's a clash is because when you go to the interviews, okay, and you read them and you have somebody saying, I was at the Whites and I was hanging out with Emily, okay, and Hunter, her boyfriend, okay. So this goes back to when the detectives are all sitting down and they have their whiteboard out and they're like, okay, what are the facts? What do we know? What's the information that we're getting? What's the logical inferences that we can take? But at the end of the day, what are the facts and how can we prove things? So they would have had to figure this out as to, okay, also, why didn't they just tell the police, hey, we wrote this to Ethan, but we just didn't want to make him feel bad, but we really were at the Whites. So I just want to make that clear. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's not how it came across in any of their interviews, at least at the first go round. It was everything that we've seen so far. Now, again, the reason that we need to focus on the book is because the sources, these people that talk to James Patterson, are the people that talk to the police. And so your story should just be the same. There should not be inconsistent statements. And James Patterson would have a lot of notes if you're going to be writing something like this. Next. Okay. Josie and Lyndon are also home asleep at the Whites in Josie's bedroom next to Emily. It's been a hard 24 hours of partying. 11 p.m. Ethan thinks about who else of his group he's missing out. Okay, so he sent his sister, you are so lame. He's texting her to try to get her to come out. Okay. Now, midnight. He's saying in downtown Moscow, Kaylee and Maddie are together. There you go. We're fine with that. 1:20. The best friends have had enough. They're tired and hungry, and now they're a little inebriated. I told Adam everything. Maddie says to Kaylee, blah, blah, blah. Now, the friends swerve as they make the 8-minute walk to the main street. This is crazy. This tells me that freaking James Patterson, he had the walk that we see, that we just got. James Patterson, everybody's talking about how, oh, look at how Maddie's walking, that angle that we've never seen before, just in the past couple weeks. James Patterson had that. Okay. Like, hands down. There's no way that you're using this language because she was swerving when she was walking. Okay. And who could possibly give you that? Well, Kaylee's not here. Maddie's not here. And unless one of his sources was Jack Showalter, okay, or his other source, who I believe it would be, is the person that actually turned over the video surveillance camera for that angle and could have said they were swerving, they were, or provided that. Then he watched it himself. But right here, this is like this is proof. This is, in my opinion, proof that James Patterson was provided this when he says the friends swerve as they make the 8-minute walk to the main street where the grub truck is always parked. Now, 1:30 at the grub truck, Kaylee orders, boom. They know the guy in the hoodie who's standing behind them, Jack Showalter. He's an occasional visitor to King Road. Now, that's interesting because now, since all of the interviews have come out, Jack Showalter said that he may have been over there at that house one time, and that was back when it was different people that lived there. Okay. So it's interesting where he's getting this, that Showalter was like an occasional visitor. Okay. So he's a good guy, they think. And I'm like, what? He must be putting in his own words there. The girls flirt a little with him. Boom. I said, holy shit. Is Jack Showalter one of his sources? Because Showalter says this in an interview. Or is one of the detectives who interviewed Jack Showalter at some point in time providing that? Because Showalter said that they were flirting with, one of them was flirting with him. Okay, remember, this book was written well before the police reports, everything that we have in our presence. This book was written way before then. So just think about it. Speaking of, he's another party. So the girls flirt with him a little bit. Kaylee asks if he's interested in going to another party somewhere, but he's tired. Who could possibly give you that other than Jack Showalter? Jack Showalter. Or the police officer that interviewed Jack Showalter. Speaking of, so are they. It's been a long day. They need a ride home. Kaylee texted designated driver. Now, this is something new. At 1:50 a.m., Hunter Johnson texts Ethan to ask if he's still at the Sigma Chi party. Emily is still asleep. So who would be the source of this? In my opinion, it's Hunter Johnson. Now, he does not write that if he got back to him or not. At 1:56, Kaylee and Maddie head back home to King Road. They chat in the living room. This is going to blow your guys' minds, as it blew mine again yesterday and then again today, when I was just like, I cannot believe what I am reading. Here it is. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. Kaylee and Maddie head back home to King Road. They chat in the living room. Dylan is in her room wasted. Bethany is in her room asleep. And then here's me. What? Guess who the source is? Emily. Emily is the source for this. Okay. Emily is the source for this because this is what Emily was told. Emily was told this. And I'm like, what? So the reason I put Emily as a source is because that's what James Patterson told me with his release of his sources. Yeah, totally. This is Tina with What the Fuck Translation Services. Now, gets better. 2 a.m. This is Ethan responds to Hunter Johnson that he and Xana are still at Sigma Chi. You guys, how many people have forgot about that? That was in this book. I know, right here. I'm like, wait a second. So we have a Ethan text message citing at 2 a.m. because Well, who's the source of this? Ethan responds to Hunter Johnson. Hunter Johnson, he's one of James Patterson's sources. Ethan responds to Hunter Johnson that he and Xana are still at Sigma Chi. Now, the question is, when he was ever looking at his phone to do this interview, is there a chance that he gave this interview and he was in Boise, and when he was looking at his phone, if he's in that time zone, it would actually reflect that it was 1. No, actually, it would have reflected it would have been 3. So I think he might be accurate. I mean, I'm hoping that James Patterson double checked like the times. So Ethan responds to Hunter Johnson that he and Xana are still at Sigma Chi. So when Hunter texted him at 1:50, he responds at 2. Approximately at 2:15 a.m., Ethan and Xana return home. I said, what's the source of this? He said the source of this at approximately 2:15 a.m., his source for that is the probable cause affidavit. And I said, what? I'm like, what? Okay. Ready? Then at 2:15, Kaylee and Maddie chat on the couch a little longer and then go upstairs and collapse on Maddie's bed. What? Dude, what? Murphy, Kaylee's golden doodle, is in Kaylee's room. Kaylee often leaves him in there when she's out. For the umpteenth time, Kaylee tells her friend she's unsure what to do about her ex, Jack Decor. They start texting him. He lives only 3 doors down. Kaylee misses him. She wants him to come over. What? Dylan, nor Bethany's name anywhere in here. Okay. Gets better. It gets better. 2:26 a.m. Kaylee phones Jack. He's asleep and doesn't hear her call. She calls him a second time. She calls him a third time. Blah, blah, blah. 2:44. Kaylee calls Jack a 6th time. Then Maddie phones him 3 more times. He sleeps through all of them, blissfully unaware of the imminent danger. Okay. What's up, Miss Potts? Good. 33 months in the house. Oh, God. This is when I just lose it on my first edition. Okay. 2:52. Kaylee tries Jack one more time. 3 a.m. Emily wakes up at the Whites. So too do Josie and Lyndon. Josie's on a vacation. Josie realizes she's left her phone in her car. What? Now, this is where, and why this is important, is because Josie was grilled by the FBI. Josie was grilled because they told her that she was lying about just sleeping. Because her phone is clearly doing what? Her phone starts making all these movements, okay? And potentially calling people, potentially texting people, who knows? But at least these cops were like, we have a problem here. Her phone is not, this is not what it's, or her phone's telling us something else, right? Well, I'm over here like, well, what the hell did y'all do to Bethany and Dylan then? Poor Josie's like, my phone? Oh, God, that's right. When I woke up, I went and grabbed it really quick. But see, then they have to come up with, I mean, this is the story, though, that, hey, it was outside of my car. Well, when did you ever put it in your car? What were you doing that day that you ever got into your car? That's what I have. That's my question. When did Josie's phone ever get into her car? Because how I see it is she was part of the group that went to the formal. And therefore, she would have never been around her car. But hey, we'll move on for now. Again. Now, she goes to get it. It's foggy out. She thinks It's dark and quiet. When she comes back, Hunter Johnson gets up and locks the door to the apartment. He doesn't know why. He's never done that before. He and Emily go to sleep. No one thinks to text Ethan or Xana. They assume everyone is sleeping. In fact, Xana is awake scrolling on TikTok. She orders DoorDash from the Jack in the Box in Pullman, the only place open at that hour. Now, 4 a.m., Xana's food arrives. It ought to be the ordinary end of the ordinary game day, but it isn't. 4:17, Dylan is in her bed, drifting in and out of a fitful post-game day sleep. The walls of her bedroom are so paper thin. Okay, listen to this. He totally has these interviews. Dylan says that her walls are so thin. This is a quote, man, that she had told officers about, that it was her walls were paper thin. Like this is exactly what she says. So it's like, when did he get this? Lana, you ruined your first edition. That's why we had to buy two. Then Dylan could hear, now listen to this. The walls of her bedroom are so paper thin that earlier, Dylan could hear almost everything Maddie and Kaylee and Ethan and Xana were saying as they chatted on the couch in the living room. And I said, oh my God, what the fuck? What? Ethan and Xana and Kaylee and Maddie, they're all talking in the living room. Do you understand that there is a source to this? Do you understand that somebody told him this? This is not part of his, like, I'm making this up. Okay. Somebody told him this. So again, Dylan is in her bed, drifting in and out of a fitful post-game day sleep. The walls of her bedroom are so paper thin that earlier Dylan could hear almost everything Maddie and Kaylee and Ethan and Xana were saying as they chatted on the couch in the living room. Here's me. What? Next thing she hears is the familiar stomping as they go up the stairs. She can dimly hear music from one of their bedrooms. But then everything turns surreal. Not sure whether she's dreaming or awake, she thinks she hears someone frantically say, "There's someone here." Huh? That doesn't seem right. And yet it also does, because so many people come in and out of 1122 King Road. She gets up and opens her door a crack. Nothing. Dylan goes back to bed. But then she hears someone crying. Is it Xana? She gets up again and opens her door a fraction of an inch. What? She hears a male voice say, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." There's a thud. That's in the PCA. And Murphy starts to bark. Dylan shuts her door again. Is she going crazy? Now there's silence again. She opens the door a third time. That's when she sees the firefighter, or at least blurry-eyed. That's what she thinks she's seeing. He's got bushy eyebrows. He's wearing a mask. He's holding a firefighting object, a bit like a vacuum. They make eye contact for a split second. She shuts her door and looks around for her vibrator. Just kidding. For her taser. What in the actual fuck am I reading? She looks around for her taser. Who has ever said that? Well, that came out of the mouth of Dylan to somebody. She says it right here. She shuts her door and looks around for her taser. The battery is dead, just like her vibrator battery is dead. You guys, do you understand that James Patterson did not make this up? Okay. He has a source for this. Okay. Because this is what Dylan either told him and he's saying it's a confidential like his confidential source, or Dylan told this to one of his sources. Okay. And this is unreal. Unreal that we have not heard about Dylan's taser. Okay. And then it had no batteries. And then neither did her vibrator. And I cannot believe that the vibrator did not make the book, though. So not only was her taser dead, her phone's about to die, and her vibrator's dead. Everything in that room. Yet, if you look at pictures of her room, there is just cords for days, all right by her bed, all plugged in, waiting to be used. Don't worry, Dylan. Like the rest of us females, our vibrators are always dead. Now, where is this taser? Okay, because you would think that this taser would be out on her bed. And maybe it's just to cover up for the fact that, hey, when they take these pictures, they're going to see my taser in my bed versus I'm going to call it a taser, but it's really a vibrator. I mean, these are the things that are going through my head. Like that, I'd be like, oh my God, these crime scene photos, they're going to see my, at the end of the day. Okay. You guys, we have a taser. A taser. Dylan looked for her taser. Dylan never told this to any law enforcement person ever that we've heard so far. Okay. But I am telling you, James Patterson's source claims that Dylan told this to her. So I'm not making it up. It's right here in black and white. She shut her door and looks around for her taser. The battery is dead. Bethany. She tries calling her friend downstairs. Now listen to this lie. Listen to whoever put this in, like told this to this man. She tries calling her friend downstairs. Nothing. But then, thank God, Bethany phones her back. That is not true. You guys, the order is that Bethany calls her first. Okay? All it would take is somebody to look at these damn phones and like, so how, but yet again, so the way that this is told is that Dylan still wants to be the first caller. Hey, I called Bethany and then she called me back. Said nobody ever. And definitely not them phone records. So right there, James Patterson, now that he has like, I thought he had the information before, but now he should really know, wow, Dylan's really telling my source a bunch of shit, that flash that Bethany saw, was it a taser? Could be the taser, could make a little weird noise. So what, Dylan's running around tasing people? Dylan, okay, so now she's claiming that, hey, she tries to call her friend downstairs, nothing. But then, thank God, Bethany phones her back. Dylan tells her she thinks she saw someone in black masked. Their call lasts less than a minute. Dylan then calls Xana, no reply. She calls Kaylee, nothing. She calls Bethany again. Oh my God. Do you understand that that's 3 calls? So what now James Patterson is saying is that there's a call before 419. So listen to this. By this, I don't even know. Basically, he doesn't have his calls right. Okay? Because she calls Bethany again. There isn't a call again. What is he talking about? There is not a call again. She calls Bethany again. They speak for 41 seconds. What? We just had that phone call. Do you see how confused he is? You guys, this stuff is, I mean, this is really interesting. Okay, because I don't think this is wrong. I don't think that this is wrong. Why did these girls say that this all started at 4? Right from jump. Why was it all at 4? Because like I've been saying, it's so easy just to look at your phone to see when did I first call you or you called me. You'd have been like 4:20. Why are you saying, well, basically at 4? It's because Aunt Taylor always said that this is not what I'm providing right now. This is not inclusive of everything. I'm leaving stuff out, basically, more or less. And she's leaving some stuff out because I think some stuff was deleted, but Celebrate caught the deletions, and we're not going to give you everything. Okay. But maybe we're going to talk about why there was a call that was deleted at 4 o'clock, or why there was, other things that were deleted. Okay. So we're getting so close to all we need is, if we're going to get him, we're going to get it on the FOIA. Give me these timestamps from the Celebrate. Not an exhaustive list of Dylan's phone. Yeah. Okay. So going back to this crazy. Okay, so she calls Bethany again. They speak for 41 seconds. Dylan breathing heavily. Dylan is breathing heavily. Really? Who's the source of that? She's terrified. The fuck she ain't. You know what she told Gooch? This ain't nothing. Has she gone crazy? Is she hallucinating? No, I think this is the source of Emily right here. Then Bethany phones Xana. She also gets no answer. Dylan tries Maddie, nothing. Bethany phones Ethan, nothing. And look at this. At 4:22 a.m., Dylan types. So do you understand that there's going to be hella shit according to James Patterson? James Patterson, remember, he's got some sources, you guys. I think he has a source, okay? I believe he has a source that has the Celebrate. I am telling you right now. Because all of the stuff that James Patterson is saying that happened prior to 4:22 a.m. is completely wild. James Patterson's basically saying that the 4th call was at that time. I'm telling you, man, you are not going to put your career on the line and not and come with some bullshit. So that's just my take. Now, going back over here. So at 4:22 a.m., Dylan texts Bethany, the tragically obvious. No one is answering. And then I'm really confused right now. She texts Kaylee again. Kaylee, what's going on? There is still no reply. Guess what? This means that this was before ever seeing the masked man. Okay, because her interview says that this person would have, she's like, I'm texting, I'm calling them. This guy would have heard that. I'm opening my door. I'm saying this stuff. Okay. Now, on the lower level, Bethany switches to Snap and then back again to text message. How did he know that? How did he know that? She texts Dylan, yeah, dude, WTF. Then Xana was wearing all black. It's a question, not a statement. Xana was wearing all black. So she texts Dylan, yeah, dude, WTF. Then Xana was wearing all black. It's a question, not a statement. How does she know how to, like, did you talk to Dylan? I mean, did you talk to Bethany? And Bethany's like, that's a question, not a statement. Dude, listen to what he's saying. I'm telling you, man. I think Bethany's one of his sources. Dylan replies to Bethany's text, to the former, I'm freaking out right now. And to the latter, no, it's like ski mask almost. Really? Bethany writes back, shut the fuck up, actually. Dylan's fingers trip on the keys as she types. Like he had something over his head. And now, do you remember in Gooch's interview, Dylan's over here like, yeah, see, like I was typing and look at, I was like drunk. Like, look at this. It's crazy how James Patterson knows everything that they've pointed out in their interviews. He's hitting home on what they've pointed out in their interviews, what we've listened to. Then there's no time to fix typos. Bethany, I'm not kidding. I was so freaked out. Bethany, so am I. Dylan, phone is going to die. Fuck. Same with taser, same with vibrator. Bethany tells her, come to my room, run down here. And I'm over here like, when was this written? What was this like added? Because I was so adamant to say, how did he get all of this in time to write this book? 424. Can Dylan run? Is it safe? Dylan tries Ethan's cell once more. She and Bethany have another quick exchange. And I'm like, wait, what? When? What quick exchange? An exchange to me is back and forth. You know, you texting me and me not getting back to you is not an exchange. Okay. So then at 4:27 a.m., she tries Keely again, then Xana. Still nothing. Dylan makes the decision to run. And this is where I'm saying, holy shit, because according to Ann Taylor in the state, Dylan makes this run for it at 4:25. Between 4:25 and 4:20 and 4:27. According to James Patterson, Dylan makes a run for it after 4:27. Because this all, according to my breakdown, based on the state's argument and what Ann Taylor's argument is, they're trying to say that Dylan left and is in that room by 4:27. But now think about all of this. What vehicle does Dylan possibly see out the window? Because we now have the footage and we know if there's a vehicle that has its running lights on, which one it could possibly be. And you only have some options here. You have the 423 car and you have the 429 car. But the 429 car, I did some digging and they have assigned that to a guy that's in the frats. And he was coming home after playing video games at his fraternity. And he parked right along the side of the house and parallel parked right there. And then he walked into the bricks, which is where he lives. Okay. Well, so in my opinion, you have to throw out the 429 car. That couldn't have been the car that Dylan's talking about, because this person goes past the house and makes an immediate right next to the house and is parallel parking. Okay. Dylan can't fucking see that unless you came the fuck out of the house. You cannot see what's going on to the right of the house. There's no way. There are no windows on that side of the house. You cannot see anything from over there. Okay. So Dylan making her statements to say that, when she got into, she just says how she peeked out, the window and then he was like, where, what, when, when I was down into Bethany's bedroom, I did it in Bethany's bedroom. And I think she just said that because, okay, I think she just didn't want to say that she was looking out the living room window, because it's like, then you didn't run downstairs. Okay. And so she has to say that she did that in, what's her tits' room, Bethany's room, which then you have to move everything up. And so it's like at 423, that's the car that you're talking about. Okay. You only have so many options, which totally fucks up and really puts, if you wanted to go at this timeline, you'd want to really hone in on Dylan seeing a car and what time could that truly have been at, or a truck or whatever. It doesn't matter. Car, truck, doesn't matter. You look out the window, there are no vehicles available for Dylan to see unless you point out those two vehicles. And then it royally fucks all this shit up, which is so at 4:27 a.m., she tries calling Kaylee again. And then Xana. And according to this, she's not downstairs yet. Still nothing. Dylan makes a decision to run. She sprints to Bethany's room. The two friends cling to one another. They kept trying to reach the roommates. Bethany tries Maddie twice, then Kaylee twice. Dylan texts Kaylee. Bethany goes on Snap and Instagram looking for clues. I'm over here like Blue's Clues. What? And now the source for this information is coming from either Emily, Dylan, Bethany. Those are your options right now. I'm not even playing. Looking for clues. What clues could possibly be on Snapchat? Well, Snap Maps can. When you're trying to see, here, let's go on Snapchat and let's see where their phones are. This is wild. Absolutely wild. Nothing. Here's me. What? It's 4:37 a.m. Exhausted and terrified, the two girls pass out. You guys, those two things don't go together. That's oil and vinegar right there. Exhausted and terrified, the two girls just pass out, 4:37 a.m. Well, guess what? James Patterson, we have confirmed over here from a confidential source of mine that those girls did anything but sleep. And that the phones tell us that. So just like Josie's phone told the police that Josie wasn't sleeping because her phone was dancing all over. Okay? So we're going to put all of our chips in and say that everything except sleep and passing out is what occurred at 4:37 in the morning. Neither of them fall into a deep slumber. Bethany wakes at 7:30 a.m. and calls her parents, telling them both about the strange events of the night before. Whoa. Excuse me? No. Now, this is absolutely wild. Who is the source of this? And guess who's the source of this? Again, you're going back to the Emilys of the world. Okay? According to Bethany, she called her parents at 7:30 in the morning, right? Because of the tooth. Okay? Neither of them fall into a deep slumber. Bethany wakes at 7:30 a.m. and calls her parents, telling them both about the strange events of the night before. Maybe she tells herself Dylan just had a very bad dream. Dylan comes to around 8 a.m. and also tells, and you guys, 8 a.m., that's accurate, and also tells herself, now this is at the time before, we don't know, see, James Patterson has more information here too as well, but it's, I don't know how this source got this wrong, or was it on purpose, or was it maybe more to it? I don't know. God, I would love to know what the FBI interview with Bethany is like, because I'm surprised that the tooth thing isn't in here. Dylan comes to around 8 a.m. and tells herself that she had a very bad dream after drinking too much. She immerses herself on Instagram for a couple of hours. The house seems quiet, calm. She agrees with Bethany. She must have hallucinated the whole thing. Hallucinated? What? Oh my God. Then hallucinated. That's not how you hallucinate. I mean, I guess. Why would they be hallucinating? What were they doing? Do you hallucinate when you drink? I just don't think you do. Around 10:23 a.m., when it should be time for the others to start waking, Dylan texts Maddie, "Are you up?" There's no reply, but that's not abnormal. It's not. but she said that it was. Dylan dozes off again. The fuck she does. No, she doesn't. Oh my God. Again, this is Emily, and they lied. These people lied to Emily. Okay. Emily's only repeating, she doesn't have access to the cell, right? She doesn't have access to these people's phones. Unless she's like, give me your fucking phone. I'm going through this right now. You know? But so again, this is just so there's no reply, but that's not Dylan dozes off again. Over an hour later, she she just awakes. Arise and walk, my child. She rouses and also texts Kaylee, "Are you up?" Nothing. Yeah, that's at like 10:30. Now she's starting to panic again. Was it all not a dream? At 11:49 a.m., Dylan calls her classmate. What? No. Dylan calls her classmate and high-fives Sir Jenna McClure and asks her to come over. Then she phones her big Emily, who was at her apartment having breakfast with Josie, Hunter Johnson, and Lyndon. Can you come over? Dylan says. Something weird happened last night. I don't really know if I was dreaming or not, but I think there was a man here, and I'm really scared. Can you come check out the house? I texted Xana and the others, but no one's answering. I'm in the basement with Bethany. Emily laughs. Dylan can get really, really drunk. What? This is not the first time she's heard a story like this from her little. Are you exactly? Exactly. I can't wait to hear this. Ha ha ha. Should I bring my pepper spray? She asks. This is not a first time she's heard this. What other stories? Emily gets up and goes looking for a sweatshirt. And when she comes back, she sees Hunter Johnson has already left the apartment. Now, this would be total opposite of an interview that occurred where Hunter Johnson was with somebody that was on a couch and the person just, went off. Hunter makes his way up to the steps into the house. He heads up the stairs and sees Xana's bedroom door slightly ajar, usually, or that's unusual. He opens it. He sees her laying as if he'd fallen backwards. There is blood everywhere. He doesn't go any further into the house. He turns around, goes downstairs, and says as calmly as he can to Dylan and Bethany, call 911 and stay outside. He takes a breath, goes back up the stairs, and heads to the kitchen. Across the hall from Xana's room, he opens a drawer and takes out a kitchen knife. He's terrified. He's about to re-enter Xana's room when he hears someone coming up the stairs. It's Emily. He stops her. Emily, I don't think Xana's going to wake up. He tells his girlfriend as softly as he can. She doesn't understand, but something in his expression chills her, and she stands still, rooted to the spot. I'm going in to take their pulses, he says, knowing already that he's too late. But he goes in anyway. And after he's done that, he checks the closets for any sign of the murderer. There is none. Emily has gone downstairs. He follows and waits for the cops in the living room. That's not true. Hunter says nothing to Emily or to the others who are outside. He's trying to protect these innocents from both the sight and the reality. But he already knows the horrific truth. Xana and Ethan are dead. Hunter doesn't know if Kaylee and Maddie are even in the house, but he fears the worst. The devil has been at 1122 King Road, and he has no idea why. Well, now, right. Okay. So, woo. Wow. Okay. So, I was interested in a girl by the name of Alexa Pattinson. Why? Well, because Alexa Pattinson has it's very interesting because she has where does she say? Hold on. Okay, here. Okay, Alexa lived in the bricks, which she's referring to as the, 500 Queen Road. All right. And this is the girl whose dad's a lawyer, but also she talks about the fact that she can just look into Kaylee's apartment window or house window. And I'm like, what the fuck? Remember Emily's dream? Crazy. Hold on, where's this broad? Right here. All right, so I want to just show people where I got these names from as well and to double check. So this is from chapter 6. And Ava, Zoe, Katie, and Phoebe. Okay, so those are people that are in her sorority. Okay. Okay. Then Chief Fry. Go to the investigation. Well, anyways, I'll come to it here in a second. The fucking page number I need. Page 198. God damn it. There we go. Boom. Okay. Going to point something out about James Fry. James Fry said he goes to the scene on November 13th. And on November 13th, he's saying that there was an FBI agent there. And this is really important. Okay. Because the FBI is not allowed to come in on a case until they are fucking called to come in on a goddamn case. All right. And so in this book, Chief Fry is one of the main sources. And he says that on day one, on 11/13, that there was somebody with an FBI jacket. And he was like, who is this? So I want to point out this part where he says, okay. Privately, the chief, inadvertently, they've made the cops live so much harder when they should have never told people that they could go home. Officer Danny Vargas is known to be one heck of an interviewer. Okay. I'm going to eat Danny Vargas for fucking lunch right now. All right. I'm literally going to eat that ass whole. Here you go, Vargas. Officer Danny Vargas is known to be one heck of an interviewer. And yesterday, Lawrence Mowry, Mitch Nunes, and John Lawrence got the best they could out of those poor shot kids, the friends of the victims, before they checked out of the Best Western. Boom. Okay, now, where are these interviews? Where are these interviews, Danny Vargas? Danny Vargas, can you please explain to me? Were you part of the victimology team, the interview team, the forensics team, the video and local CCTV TV team, tip management, or note-taking team? Which team were you assigned to? Because there was an FBI person in charge, an ISP person in charge, and an MPD person in charge. So we're going to get to this. But here, according to Chief Fry, these people went to the friggin' hotel. Where are these interviews? Where are these interviews? Well, I can tell you this. They're nowhere to be found. They are not in any MPD report. None. Next. Okay. He says, but there's not much point in having a great interviewer in Moscow if the students you need to question are en route to, say, Florida or Texas or somewhere else, right? Exactly. So, Detective Vargas, what were you then assigned to do? Because let's see. You only wrote 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 reports that have anything to do with anything prior to the arrest of Brian Kohlberger. 8 reports between November 13th and December 29th. You wrote up 8 reports. Okay. And now looking at your pay for the whole month of November and December, oh, girl, you racked up a lot of hours. So let's talk about this, Ms. Vargas. Then Fry and his team are still trying to get their arms around what they've got at the crime scene. So the Idaho State Police has a crack team. What a name. A crack team of forensic lab rats. You guys, you can't make this stuff up. The Idaho State Police has a crack team. Okay. That's not the language I would use, but a crack team of forensic lab rats. And they're headed on over to, the scene. Their mandate is to go over all of the evidence for a second time before it is scooped up and shipped. Now, let me tell you something. That's not what happened in this case. Scooped up and shipped. Well, they collected things and scooped them up 103 pieces on the day of. Okay. And so then this whole going around for a second time, that's not what it was for. Nobody wants any fuck ups. No one wants any fuck ups. Okay. It will take serious manpower and a vast network to sift through it all. People assume the technology makes a cop's life easier. In some ways, it does, but it might take a whole day just to download the contents of a kid's phone. Simply deciphering the data is going to take hours, days, maybe weeks. Okay? Then Fry looks down at his laptop and sees the sticky note reminder from the receptionist. Call back the FBI. Fry knows he needs to call the feds in. In fact, he'll be screwed if he doesn't. Given the mass exodus from the Moscow already underway, he'll need the FBI's extra manpower and nationwide reach, and who knows what else. The nearest bureau field office is in Coeur d'Alene, and I said, yep, bingo, that's where Ed Jacobson's at. And it's near the homes of Maddie and Kaylee. Fry prides himself on having built a great relationship with both the ISP and the local federal agents. Okay. Then they're talking about a past relationship there. Not important. So, right here. Yesterday, Fry saw a guy in an FBI jacket at the King Road crime scene, probably there at the invitation of the ISP. He assumed it wasn't one of the guys he knew well. You guys, we have the body cams. I did not see so far, and I'm going to get more. I have not seen one guy in a jacket that says FBI. Not one. And how I know it's the day of, like, day one is because, according to James Patterson, the way that he did this, which I love, is this is talking about on November 14th, okay? And so he's saying yesterday as in November 13th, okay? So it gets better. It gets better. So he's over here thinking, so check this out. This is what's crazy. Fry is over here thinking that the Idaho State Police, somebody from their agency, said, hey, yeah, why don't you come down, just lurk around. Okay. Fry has no idea who this person is. And then, as it happened, the same agent is now standing in the briefing room at the police station with the lead from the state ready for the 8 a.m. meeting, their first 8 a.m. meeting on 11/14. Okay, and now I'm thinking to myself, we have a guy, because listen to what he says. He basically puts an ISP guy up at the board, a Moscow Police Department officer at the board, and then an FBI person at the board. Listen to this. So look at FBI wanted in on this so bad that they just were there. I want to know who this person is. I want to know who this person is because it was like they needed to get in on this. They needed to control the situation. A situation that if this has anything to do with confidential informants and anybody that was a confidential informant winding up and becoming dead because they were, I don't know, did some controlled buys or were ratting on people because to get themselves out of trouble. I'm just saying, why the fuck would the FBI just one person? So here he says, as it happens, the same agent is now standing in the briefing room at the police station with the lead from state ready for the 8 a.m. meeting. In quotes, we've been trying to get a hold of you, the agent says. I know, says Fry. I've been a little busy. Need us to come in? Both men understand the protocol. The FBI cannot officially assist on a case unless the local police chief explicitly asks them to. Yes, says Fry, and fast. And with that, the FBI special agent in charge calls his boss, the regional special agent in charge, and the government machinery clicks into gear. The scale and speed of it deserves respect. But guess what? Fry tells us a completely different story to the public. And he says that this does not happen and that the FBI does not come into play until November 15th. Potentially even November 16th, which is not true, according to this interview. According to this interview, the feds were brought in on November 14th. And if you really want to be technical, the feds were on scene on the 13th. Somebody was there. Again, this is according to Fry. And why does Ann Taylor put Chief Fry on her witness list? Chief Fry was not on the state's witness list. I think to answer this, I think she wants to know who the FBI agent was. I would want to know who the fuck is there. So, but according to all of us, what we received in those media press releases, we were all told that the FBI did not come in until the 15th. And look and see when the FBI set up there, we're going to start taking the tips on. You can send the media tips to us. And I'm telling you, that was after the first press release, or the first presser, which was on the 16th, is when they came out and the police and Chief Fry actually talked to the public and did an actual TV press conference. That was the first press conference was on the 16th. And the second one was on the 20th. And the third and final one was on the 23rd. And they never had to talk to the public again. You want to know why? Because they already had their suspect. Now, in Salt Lake City, Utah, and elsewhere around the country, an operation begins to unfold. Fry imagines dozens of agents leaping onto planes that will bring them to Moscow, Idaho. In the station briefing room, Fry and Bill Thompson are technically the bosses, but right now They're staying out of the way as 3 law enforcement representatives, one from Moscow PD, Payne, one from the Idaho State Police, which is either going to be Talbot or Gilbertson was up on top, and one from the FBI. They stand at a whiteboard. With the FBI, the task force is now composed of approximately 45 law enforcement officers from local, state, and federal agencies. It's a tight squeeze with a few folks standing at the back, but all eyes are forward as the leads divide them into teams. Now, this is important. The victimology team, now we know that that was led by Joe Lake. So the Idaho State Police, okay, they were doing the victimology. And I have victimology not starting right away, but I can tell you who was not part of this team was Danny Vargas. So I think it's really strange that on December 1st, she was the person that was said, hey, will you interview Ethan Chapin's family? Ethan Chapin, that would all be done by the victimology team. So unless you're going to tell me that Danny Vargas was part of each one of these teams, because that's what I'm about to show you guys. Danny Vargas did do victimology because she interviewed the Chapins. Okay. It says the officers on this team will assemble a profile of each victim by reaching out to family, friends, boyfriends, girlfriends, teachers, anyone who can tell them who the 4 were. Next, interviews. Detective Vargas, Lawrence, Maury, Payne, and others on this team will reach out and interview anyone who was near the scene of the crime, any possible witnesses. And this is where she would lose in a courtroom, Danny Vargas, because Miss Vargas, you only wrote how many reports in this case? What did you do every single day? I want to know. I want to know what the fuck you did in this case. Because I can tell you what you didn't do is you did not report what you did. So then I'm totally in. How did these people read your mind on what you came across? So that in these briefing sessions at 8 a.m. and at 5 or 6 p.m. daily, how could you possibly turn over or explain to them what the hell you were doing? You don't have any reports. Who did you interview? You interviewed Matt Moyer. You picked up you received an email from Kane at Linda Lane. You asked a girl that works at, who's a judge or a guardianship person, hey, can I get your Nest camera on 11? I mean, what did this broad do? I'm telling you, here's the facts. These are Danny Vargas's reports. 14, 31, 32, 69, 75, 78, 87, 102, 3, 124, 130, 157, 174, 210, 228, 245, which is one of the best, 255, 256, and all this other bullshit. And none of these reports, except for literally the first 6, are prior to an arrest made. That doesn't mean that reports that come after that she did those things during the time before an arrest was made. It's like, why are you waiting a year and 2 years to write up a report? How do you go to an autopsy and not take notes? Why does Ethan have his socks on? When Ethan, supposedly the way that it looks, is Ethan went into the bathroom and those are Ethan's clothes on the floor, okay? Those are his pants rolled off with his boxer briefs, whatever, in the pants right there, okay? Well, last time I checked, if you're going to get into the shower, you take off your socks when you shower. So I would like to know how Ethan, what it seems potentially could be, is that Ethan was in the middle of, like, where's his top, where's his shirt? Okay, but why are his pants right in front of the shower, but his socks aren't off yet? It's like he was interrupted. Or some kids, even since the time they were little, if they are going to go to the bathroom and then they're going to, they'll take off all of their clothes, sit there, go to the bathroom, and then get in the shower. Okay? So was he about to get in the shower? But you would have strong questions about his socks on. Based upon where his clothes are, because I just want to complete this. People say, well, Lana, they just had sex. Okay. again, last time I checked, why am I going to get butt ass naked in the bathroom, okay? And I live with a bunch of these girls, right? And I'm just going to come out of the bathroom with no towel around me to then go into the bedroom, or I'm just like, it feels really, that those pants being dropped like that, why didn't he just throw them right into that stack of other shit right there? Where's his t-shirt? Where's the top part? I would expect all of that to be rolled off right by the bed, because you're jumping in it to fuck. Like, I'm just being blunt as shit. I don't see how I'm going to go to the bathroom, drop my pants, roll them all off like right there, and then go not flush the toilet. But I don't think it's his pee, because there's actually somebody that looks like they wipe themselves, because it's pee with, if you're a dude, you're not wiping your dick off, you're shaking. I mean, the bathroom just doesn't make any sense with who went to the bathroom and then those clothes being there. But then hear this, those clothes, so ready for this? Those clothes being rolled off like that, it's like, did he take all of that off because that's what he wore to go to the, what is it, that formal? So when he actually came back to the house, did he change? And he's like, I'm not wearing this shit. I'm wearing comfy shit to go to the Sigma Chi party. I'm not going to wear this stuff. So I would love to know what kind of clothing he was at. We know what he was wearing when he went to the formal, but what was he wearing when he was at Sigma Chi's party? Anyways, but Danny Vargas, mess, whole mess there. Report 245. Ready for this? Danny Vargas is the officer, or whatever you want to call her. It was the person in charge of this. So somebody told her, hey, you're going to do this. Wait till you see this report. Okay. Here we go. Report 245. All right. Danny Vargas felt the need not to write this report right away, and instead this report gets written on October 4th, 2023. Okay, ready? Okay, well, what are you doing? What's Danny Vargas doing? What is this report about? Well, let me tell you. It says, early on in the investigation, Miss Vargas, early on in the investigation, what? Do you have to write that because you don't really know the exact date because you're writing this report, I don't know, a year later? But early on in the investigation, after Colbert had been identified as the suspect, well, we have a lot of questions about that because we want to talk about when Brian Colbert actually became a suspect. So according to what, are you going off of the 19th? December 19th? Because look at what she does. Look at what she was assigned to do. Who assigned you to do this? Well, I was, early on in the investigation, after Colbert had been identified as the suspect, I did an initial search for the following name/phone numbers throughout several accounts belonging to the victims. Okay, how did you do this? What are you talking about? This is really important. What do you mean you did a search throughout? Like, are you saying that after stuff was downloaded? Okay, so think about this. So after items were downloaded and there was Excel, right? Like, what do you mean you searched? Explain this. I did an initial search for the following names/phone numbers throughout several accounts belonging to the victims. Okay, ready? And so she writes Brian, Kohlberger, Christopher. Then she writes this, and then Papa Rogers. Okay. And I'm like, when? This is why this is important. When did you do this? Because what if she did this on, I don't know, November 20th? Or, and why Papa Rogers? Dude, she's looking in their shit to see Papa Rogers. How did you here's my next question. How did you perform this search? What do you mean you were performing searches? Like you had an Excel, or you had like rather like a PDF, because you had 20,000 pages from each person's phone? Because we didn't have the phones downloaded that were that of the victims. They were not in the hands of anybody until 11/29, 2022. 11/29. What devices? Like, you're going to have to explain this. And then why are you writing up this report to begin with? Well, I'm going to tell you guys why. Because something that Ann Taylor had found, and then it's requiring Danny Vargas to write up a report. Because what it would look like is, why are you searching for this stuff? Like, then let's go continue on. I did not find any of the above terms related to Koberger in the following accounts listed below. And it's just like, when? Kaylee iCloud, Kaylee Snapchat, Kaylee's iPhone, Kaylee Gmail, Kaylee Yahoo, Kaylee Instagram, Kaylee Facebook, Bethany and Dylan Instagrams, Ethan Instagram, Xana Instagram, Maddie Facebook, Xana Facebook, Ethan Facebook. Well, you have the wrong Xana account, by the way, because if you did this way back then, it was the wrong account. Bethany Facebook, Dylan Facebook, and Jack Decor Facebook. Jack Decor. What? Well, now that's a big question, right? Why the fuck did you look through Jack Decor's Facebook for that? I'm just curious. Poo Rogers. Papa Rogers. I don't even know if that's the right way to spell that. Now, when, it's kind of important, why did you even write up this report? Because this is something that you did, but yet everything, you didn't write any reports for anything that you did. This is crazy to me. But it's like somebody had to make up this report because of something. And we're going to find out. It's just going to take a little longer, but this piece of paper right here, this is really, really important, because it's Detective Vargas and Detective Blaker, the two main culprits for, I'm not going to tell you when I actually did something. I'm going to write up reports a year to two later. In this case, almost a year later. 10/4/2023. She did not do that activity on that date. She did this early on, comma, in the investigation, comma, after Koberger had been identified at the suspect. Great writing. As the suspect, I did an initial search for the following name/phone numbers. Where do you see phone numbers? Is there phone numbers here? And again, so when she says that I did not find any of them in here, so that means you had working copies of this. And so what this tells me is that Vargas was the one going through the information. Did you do the same thing to look up, I don't know, Cole Barnenberg, any of these other fucking suspects? Eric Grower. You know, like were you doing this with your other people that were your persons of interest in the beginning? Did you do this? I looked up Jack Showalter. I looked up his phone number. Okay. Again, the name of the title of this episode is Idaho4, Picking and Choosing the Evidence and the Leads. What the fuck are they doing? Detective Vargas, did you even do any of this, or were you just asked to take the hit here? Hey, You're going to have to say that you were the one that was looking through all of this. Write it up. This doesn't make any sense. She just decided, hey, I'm going to go through all of their stuff here. When? How do you not know the date? Why wouldn't you write up this report? And why does it even matter? Like, why are you writing it up all these time later if and in fact it's not important because Ann Taylor clearly wanted to know something and because she found something or something. Because why was this even written up? Who gives a fuck? Like, what? I think Ann Taylor wanted to know, like, were these things done? Because it's not the first thing that you would do. Did you do that with any of these persons of interest? If you're trying to connect to see if anybody has any connections to people, or like if anybody was having problems with somebody, you're going to be going through their text messages. You're going to be going through their contacts and their phones. Wild. After Detective Vargas just types that up, or not after, but okay, you ready? I told you I'm gonna go ham on her. Oh, Detective Vargas. Level up. Okay. The only people that Detective Vargas questioned that we can prove is on 11/15. I'm sorry, on November 14th. She says, I spoke with the following people who lived at blank Walenta. My conversations with SG, MM, and TM were recorded and are attached. So after you interviewed people on November 14th, um, because you're a great interviewer, they didn't ask you to interview another single person? just I'm just wanting to know. You interviewed the people at Walenta, okay? And this person told you that at the same time, 417, same time that James Patterson like hand stamps Dylan's. Look at this. Oh, 417. 417, Dylan is in her bed. Just so you guys know, the first timestamp on Dylan's stuff is at 419. So take a look how crazy this is. 417, the James Patterson timeline here. 417 with the Moye brother that says, whoever the fuck this is, SG told me the following. He woke up a couple times Saturday night. He looked at his clock. He saw it was 417 and said after about 5 minutes of waking up, he heard a dog barking outside from the direction of 1122 King Road. This is a really important interview to get because I think it'll expose that Miss Vargas got all of this shit wrong. And so that he was going in and out of sleep. So like she knew as early as allegedly, supposedly on November 14th that this guy, I mean, this is a pretty big interview here. Wow, we have a dog barking nonstop, right? That's pretty important. But then here, the other people that were questioned that were like staying there, I next spoke with MM, who told me that the 13th he woke up around 2:30 and left his house around 3 because he had to go to work. And then TM. And TM told me he did not hear a dog bark at any point. Tyler said he had been out at the bars the evening of the 12th into the 13th and got home around 2:30. Tyler said he sleeps with his earplugs in. And then he said that MM mentioned that she saw Madison Mogan at some point at the corner club. Tyler provided me with his sister's phone number. Ready? Why didn't you interview his sister? Where is that interview at? So was it your decision not to interview? Instead, she goes to Fox fucking News and does an interview with them. What else do we got here for your ass? 14, 31, 32. Oh, yeah, 31. Take a look at this. So she's so good at doing interviews, right? After you did that interview with the Moyes, the next thing that you become a courier. So when is a detective a courier? Like, you have all these people on this, and you're supposed to have a skill set. Why are you driving and transporting electronic devices to Post Falls and Coeur d'Alene? Wouldn't you leave this to somebody that, I don't know, this is slop tart, like a Rosie, a Rosendahl? Like, here you go. We just need you to transport something. Like, you would give this to a peon. Okay, you don't give this to somebody with a skill set. So here, on November 16th, so she writes up this report on 11/21 to say, hey, on the 16th, I transported the 4 cell phones belonging to, boom. Then on November 17th, also guess what she did on the 16th? She went to the autopsies. Then on the 17th, at approximately this time, I picked up the cell phones from Detective Taylor. Well, guess what? Detective Taylor only provided 3 cell phones and a black external hard drive. I'd have lots of questions about that. Then on November 21st, I transported the phones belonging to Chapin Mogan and Colonel to CPD and signed them off with this person. Then on November 21st, I transported the 2 separate charging cords belonging to electronic devices. Like, look at this shit. This is what she's doing. This is all she made. All she said that she did on November 17th, here. On November 21st, here. On this on November, like, it's like, what did you do in this case? Well, I also went to the autopsy. Okay, did you take any notes? Well, according to Bill Thompson, nobody had body cam and we don't have anything like that. Well, that's not necessarily true. Because Danny Vargas wrote up this. All she did was she basically, on November 16th, when she went to the autopsies, okay, during the autopsies, the following items of evidence were collected. This is exactly what I'm confused. I'm confused why you would need 3 or 4 people there to write the same thing down. I just don't understand it. But she's the one that documented. And I would just be thinking that somebody on the forensics team would be doing this. again, we have to go back to Detective Vargas. What was your role in this case? Now you're part of the forensics team? I don't understand. Wherever we needed to just fill you in, I don't get it. I just look at this. At the conclusion of the 4 autopsies, Dr. met with Kathy Mabutt, Gary Tolson, and myself and told us the following. And so she writes that. She says that a lot of force was used by the suspect. A lot of force. I will be uploading Dr. S's final autopsy reports to the case file when they are completed. On November 16th, at approximately, I drove from Spokane medical examiner's office to the FBI office located at blank and met with the special agent. See this, Bryant Gunnarsson? And now this is why Ann Taylor was asking, she's like, who the fuck is this? I remember everybody thought that she wanted Gundersson's record. No, she wanted to know about who the hell this was. Gunnarsson. This isn't a typo. This is this person right here, Bryant Gunnarsson. Several of the clothing items collected during the autopsies were still wet and needed to dry in evidence dryers overnight. S.A. Gunnarsson and I placed the following items in 2 separate dryers, dryer 1 and dryer 2, in their evidence room, and I realized the items to and I released the items to S.A. Gunnarsson. S.A. Gunnarsson signed for the items on 11/16/2022 at approximately 21:02 hours. The items belonging to Kaylee and Maddie were placed into dryer 1, and the items belonging to Xana and Chapin were placed into dryer 2. And I think she's going to have a problem with that. Okay. Also, I think there's chain of custody issues with some of the stuff. It's kind of like the John O'Keefe crap with the clothing. I transported the remainder of the evidence items back to MPD and placed them into the evidence fridge in the MPD evidence room. So I think so basically I believe that Ann Taylor has questions here. I think Ann Taylor's like, why are you splitting all of this up? Okay. Like, what's going on here? Are you saying that stuff needed to dry out, right? So I guess what my question is that you guys left a ton of things that needed to dry out at Moscow Police Department on the 14th. You know, they took it there on the 13th. 14th. So she's going to have questions as to was there not enough room? Why would it ever come to Moscow? Like, if it has to go to the lab, like, what's going on here? And why are we taking this to the FBI lab? Okay. Like, she has a ton of questions because it's all going to come down to where this is all before they are locating the or anybody's DNA. When you want to talk about the DNA that came from the sheath, I'd have hella questions as to what the fuck's going on. Okay. She's basically saying that the clothes were still wet. See, like, look at this. Ankle swabs. Okay. If the ankle swabs left, the right is wet and there's a dry. Left, wet, dry. Okay. See that? So Ann Taylor's going to say, so you took wet stuff with you to Moscow Police Department, didn't you? Because the only thing that you're saying that you put in these dryers, right, is because the clothing, is my understanding. The clothing was still wet. Okay. And so you put them in these, but why did you put Kaylee's items in with Maddie's items? What's going on here? Why wouldn't Kaylee have her own, Maddie have her own, Xana have her own, and then Ethan have his own? What the fuck? And I think that's why she wants to know who the fuck Bryant Gunnarsson is, because why isn't Jeff Talbot? Where is the forensic team? This isn't past the smell test for me. Okay? Something's wrong. And you cannot sit here and talk about wet stuff when you're taking wet stuff back with you. The neck swab, too wet, dry. Like, shit is wet. And then, okay, so here, major crime prints taken by the following. She's going to have so many questions about this too. So their names are right here. Blank, blank, forensic specialist did this. Blank, blank, Spokane forensic unit supervisor. Like these people were where when you're doing this? You guys did major crime prints taken. Oh my gosh. Thank you. I think it's crazy that they're redacting the names of forensic technicians. You guys, these are people that this is the crack team. Okay, these people are the best. Why are we redacting government people that were like, how? How are their names being redacted? People that worked on this case. Thank you guys for blessing me with the Monty Man. Do like this feels good. Look at Ethan Chapin. So, and then how many different people? Why do we need? Okay, CL did this one. CL, LE, TB, LJ, SM, LE, LE. How many fucking people do we need to do the major crime prints taken by the following? I'm just totally confused here. This is the crack team, though. I mean, I want this type of job where basically we just have to do partial work. This would be great for people with ADD. Listen, you never have to finish anything you start. I found the perfect job. I need to go be a forensic scientist or a forensic specialist, or I need to just be a detective. We can just start things and not finish them, because somebody else is going to come in and everybody just gets little portions. But this seems off to me. And then ready for this. So as part of the autopsy, so then check this out. They decided that Xana and Ethan were only going to be done. Like, why did you determine that Xana's hands and feet prints taken, but why was it only Ethan's feet? And then Madison Mogan, hands and feet. Kaylee, hands and feet. But Ethan, no hands. Why didn't you roll? What the hell? And then why did you guys decide that on the 16th, we're going to do Xana and Ethan's, okay? But we're not going to do Madison and Kaylee's. We're going to wait to do theirs on the 17th, right? Well, here, let's see if we can ascertain why this would have happened. Major crime printing. Why would they do Ethan's feet if he had socks on? Because I told you guys, something is definitely off with that. I don't know. It's bizarre, right? Too much DNA on Ethan's hands. Probably. And no DNA. They were going for palm prints, though. I mean, that's what they said that they were doing. Anyways, right here. As part of the autopsies, major crime prints were taken from each of the victims by the Spokane County Forensic Unit. Well, this is the first time that we're hearing about the Spokane County Forensic Unit. The only forensic unit I've heard about, okay, has been Idaho State Police. So who said, let's bring in the Spokane County Forensic Unit? Is that normal because the autopsy was done in Spokane? Maybe. Chapin's prints were taken on 11/16/2022 and released to me, meaning released to me as in I'm Danny Vargas, by TB. Okay, on 11/16/2022. Xana's prints were taken 11/16/2022 and were released to me by E something. So a different person. Then Mogan's and Kaylee's prints were both taken on 11/17/2022 in the morning by CL and LE and were left at the Spokane County Medical Examiner's Office with L. On 11/17/2022, I responded to the Spokane County Medical Examiner's Office and collected Mogan's and Kaylee's prints from A. Well, that just seems like a fucking mess. I mean, you guys, they act like Moscow and Spokane are right next door. You guys, it's an hour and a half drive. Who the fuck? Why would I want to drive an hour and a half back out to Spokane? Like, that's not close. Why would I want to do that just to... Because she's over here like, hey, I got to come back out here and pick up stuff with these phones because I know they're not going to be able to get into them. So I just know I'm going to be coming back on the 17th. It's very bizarre. I mean, how long does it take? I'm just curious. I'd be like, why aren't you writing down like what time this was at? Like, and I'll tell you this, the people over there at the lab, when they get these prints, I believe they get them on, I want to say the 18th, the 17th. I mean, literally, they just have all these couriers running, and the logistics of this is awful. They logistically suck. How this was all done. Okay. So anyways, here's your girl, Sugar Tits Vargas, okay? But I know that Aunt Taylor had a lot of questions about it. Lots of questions. And then what the book number is next? 69. Okay. The next thing that she does here, okay, Detective Vargas, if she was on the stand, it would be like, okay, so your reports would be your best evidence of what you did in this case, right? Otherwise, we just can't even say that you did anything. So you guys just saw that. 11/16, she went to the autopsy. Okay? And then I told you guys that she was a courier. She was like literally a courier on a couple different days where she's just driving around. You are a fucking detective. I am not going to be no courier. We can have one of these patrol people. You know what I mean? Like, come on. So here, 12/13/2022, she writes up a report on 12/13 and saying, hey, on December 1st, Payne asked if I would assist with interviewing members of Ethan's family. This is victimology. So now let's go back to this. So here, Detective Vargas is just the supposed, hey, you're part of the victimology team, you're part of the interview team, you're part of the forensics team, video and local CCTV. We're going to get to that because here she just winds up finding, not only does she get the Linda Lane information from Kane, who says, oh, by the way, this is why this is missing, but also she deals with Indian Hills. Okay, so video and local CCTV. So, okay, well, what'd you do? Well, I interviewed Ethan's family. Okay. And just asked basically Ethan's sister and brother I finally got the names of these guys, by the way, up that were at the Whites. Cooper, Atkinson, and Taylor Robnett. Ethan's whatever. So I figured out those people. Let's get to that breaking news. Breaking news. So yeah, she just asks basically Maisie about, you know, what they did. We went to the, he was my date, blah, blah, blah. We went, Maisie said that the Hungadunga was rented by her sorority and this was a private event. Maisie told me that she knew that the majority of everyone who was at the Hungadunga and nothing out of the ordinary occurred while they were at the event. Yet she didn't try to get any surveillance cameras. Why wouldn't you get any surveillance cameras from Hungadunga Brewery? Just to make sure that nothing was wild there. I mean, I think that you would. I asked Maisie if she knew what Ethan did on Friday and Saturday. Maisie said that she was not sure what Ethan did on Friday. Maisie said on Saturday, Ethan did not go to the football game or tailgate and thought he spent that time at the Whites, possibly at Josie and Emily's apartment. Maisie said that in the evening, Ethan went with her to her formal event, which was at Hungadunga, and it was only for an hour. It was from 7 to 8. What a formal. Maisie said that they drove to Hungadunga in their vehicle with Ethan. Hunter Chapin with his date RS and somebody else, and his date HB and JK. Jack Kadovich is what I think that is. And his date RB. Maisie said by her sorority, she doesn't fucking make any sense. Maisie said that D and J are both Sigma Chi members. Maisie said that Hungadunga was rented by her sorority, like I just said. Maisie said that they all left the Hungadunga in the same car and drove to her sorority where the girls, including her, got out, went inside, and changed clothes. Maisie said that R, whatever, and this person, whatever, all got back into the car and left with Ethan, Hunter, D, and J to go to a party at Sigma Chi. Maisie said she texted Ethan at approximately 8:14 hours telling him that she did not want to go with them to the Sigma Chi party and was going to stay at her sorority. Maisie said that Ethan texted her several times trying to convince her to come to go to the party, but she did not go and eventually fell asleep around 10. Maisie said that Blank's party was just a normal Saturday evening party. She interviewed Kyle Fry, and she wrote down literally 3 sentences about him. Then she asked about Hunter Johnson. I mean, these are all what Maisie was telling her about these people, who Peter was, how, like, Xana. Maisie listed Ethan as being easygoing, positive, friendly, funny. So this was just to interview just basically Maisie. So maybe it was because they wanted a girl to interview her. Okay, I was asked to interview just Maisie because it was like a girl thing. Okay. Awesome. But you don't even know what questions to ask because you don't even know what the fuck's going on. 69. All right. Well, let's just. Do you have a picture of that Patterson girl or Patson girl, by the way? We do? Okay. Uh-huh. Okay, we can't make this up. Lexi, her real name is Alexa Pattinson. She lived at the Bricks, which is the, 500 Queen Road apartments right there. And I shit you not, she works at the one and only. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Schweitzer Engineering Laboratories. Damn. Fucking A, man. Get out of here. No effing way. During allegedly, supposedly, first of all, this woman was also a self-employed Spanish tutor. Very interesting to me. The University of Idaho BA and Spanish-driven leader, proud extrovert, passionate team member, Irish Colombian girl. She is works now and has been working human resource intern, path career development program for SEL Schwetzler Engineering Laboratories. I promise. She was also a marketing intern, social media team, and now she's in a new role since June 1st of 2025. She was working in HR, higher court coordinating. University of Idaho graduate with BBA and minor in Spanish, proud expert. Like I said, let me tell you something else about her. Her bedroom from the bricks looked right into the bedroom window of Madison. Okay? Her boyfriend is a hunter. And remember when they did the canvassing, the neighborhood canvassing? I'm telling you, one of those end apartments there, the one in the back, that's her. That's her apartment. And she is the one that was talking about always looking into her bedroom, and you could see her, Maddie, getting ready. You could see that Maddie had a boyfriend. You could see these vases. You can see all of this shit. Well, this is none other than, and then she was one of Emma Bailey's friends in high school. Okay. She thought that Emma Bailey could potentially be involved because of drugs. But then once she found out that the kids didn't die of anything to do with drugs, then she was like, oh, thank God it's not Emma. Okay. This is now also, she's also a fucking sorority sister of Kaylee's. I want to know if she finished though. I want to know if she left it. She works in Pullman at the one in Pullman, and that's the same where all these other fucking people work at the one in Pullman. You guys, SEL seems like a cult over there. I'm fucking A, but damn. She got out of Dodge right after. What's super crazy is that I wanted to add, what is this address? Where is it in relation with? Oh, at Moscow High School, she was the faculty staff. I won this award for being present and advocating for sports and clubs within the high school, and also my presence and leadership within organizations and my academic career, the high school. Spirit Leadership Award in 2019 in May. So she graduates in 2019 and she gets that award, and she goes off to the University of Idaho where she joins the Alpha Phi's. Hello, and she can speak Spanish. You know, they were after that Jose Cruz guy. He can only speak Spanish. She's like born and raised in the beautiful Moscow, Idaho. She was born and raised just like Emma Bailey in Moscow, Idaho. And I want to know why in the world she would think. First of all, I want to know where this interview is with Alexa Pattinson. Can you get me a that picture? Can you look on that thing and see? Because she's the same age as Kaylee then. She's not in that picture? Then she had to have dropped out. Okay, let me see. She's a blonde. Of course they are. I just want to know if she was a brunette at any point in time. It looks like a dyed brunette. Yeah, she's definitely not brunette for regularly. She's a brunette regularly. She's dyed blonde. Most people are these damn. Hmm. She doesn't have anything. She swiped. She like wiped her stuff down. Yeah, she did. Well, she decided to wipe herself after December 17th, 2021. There's no way. Ooh. Oh yeah, her mom works for Pullman. Okay, her mom also works for Pullman. Her dad's a lawyer. Her mom works at Pullman, and she's over here like, fuck Pullman. You guys lie and cover up everything. Steve Gonsalves needs to talk to this girl. Okay. This is what who she's following. Let's take a look. Yeah. She follows Moscow on Instagram, the high school. I'll say some names and you guys tell me. Okay, if you guys know these names. Spencer Walker, Kaylee Wilson, Audrey Bales. I know I'm not gonna read these. Ooh, Rockstar Spray Tan Spa. Sounds fun. Nick Bordeaux. Oh my god, Brock Garrity. I threw knife. John Hanley. Oh my god, she follows Simone Biles. Simone Biles. Carly Lloyd. She's a huge USA supporter. She's totally a sportster. Yeah. Blah. Nothing good there. Anyways, she is the one that was saying that WSU sucks and that they always try to get in front of bullshit. I thought it was interesting that she wants to talk about people stalking, and I'm like, what is this girl talking about? She's the one that's looking into windows. I would never be admitting this shit. Oh yeah, where's this at? Can you give me like a map? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Just to remind everybody of some timeline here. November 18th. Okay, chapter 69. Important here. Again, Emily ought to feel relaxed because they are in Mexico. Someone has texted her a link to a YouTube video on 4chan showing old TikToks of her and Hunter Johnson. The self-described internet sleuths are suggesting that Emily and Hunter committed the murders after some sort of drug deal went bad and then left the country. Whoever said that's a bunch of fucking idiots. No offense, but Hunter couldn't hurt a fly. She wonders how the heck anyone knows she's out of the country. She then she realizes it must be someone who saw her Snapchat. And I said, yeah, someone that's close to you. Like somebody's outing you. But like I didn't know Emily's Snapchat. You know what I mean? She's like, how the fuck do they know that we're in Mexico? Here you go. I can't. The night they got to Mexico, it was Hunter's birthday. They had gone out for tall, strong margaritas. Emily had taken a selfie of the two of them, exhausted, hugging, their green drinks visible on the table. Without any context, it might have looked like a regular vacation pic. She'd posted it to Snapchat because she wanted Hunter to feel appreciated. It backfired. Immediately, Emily makes her social media accounts private, something she's never imagined she'd ever do. She never understand why people even bother to have private accounts. That's how I feel. Fucking losers. Who has social media and goes private? But now, the dark corners of the internet. So blah, blah, blah. And guess what, guys? Ready for this? Her mom lives in Mexico. Okay, she didn't go to just like, hey, we're going to go. Dude, She like her mom like legit lives there. She lives in Mexico. So, yeah. Where the fuck is that? Oh, it's way over here. Oh, interesting. I think that's her parents' house. We didn't hear any gunshots last night. I'd be in Mexico too. There's speculation about Emily and Hunter, Dylan, Bethany, Jack Decor, and Jake. Who the fuck had speculation on Jake? The only thing that I think that's shady about Jake Schreiger is he's around, no joke. I did an episode when I talked to you guys about a CI that got pulled over for a DUI. The next thing you know, hey, you're gonna like do these controlled buys for us. Then the next thing you know, they try to make it seem like that he shot himself outside of his friend's house. Remember that back a while ago? Well, that dude went to high school with Jake. They were friends. Like knew each other. And that's one thing that I always thought was interesting about that is that the people that Jake hung out with. Jake was no stranger to hanging out with people that like to party, not just drink. So, also, I think it's interesting that Maddie was in Boise the weekend before. So her and Kaylee were both not in town for Parents Weekend. Their senior year. It's kind of... Emily learns that he's a Delt whom the older Pi-Fis know, the hoodie guy. Even Emily finds herself sucked into the grim guessing game about which of them might be the murderer. She goes through the list. Jake, Emily finds that super hard to believe because he's been texting them frantically, sounding panicked when the friends were sitting outside the King Road house. She feels horrible that none of them responded. That's insane. None of them were. You guys remember this shit? That's crazy. I'd be so pissed. I'm like, what the fuck aren't you responding? Like, what's going on? You guys can't even say like anything. Damn. And Jake must have talked to somebody because I think it was him that told Maddie's mom to go down there. But Jack Decor, no way. When he arrived at the King Road house, he was clearly as shocked as they were. Hoodie guy, Jack Showalter. Emily is hesitant to write him off because she doesn't really know him. And some of the older Pi-Fis have said that occasionally, when drunk, he can seem belligerent. And at least for now, there's no other strong potential suspect. It's not Dylan or Bethany. So who? Emily considers herself thick-skinned. I told you guys I wanted to have Emily on the show. I think Emily would be able to clear up a lot of shit. She's never been the type of person to care what others say about her. But here in Mexico, 3,700 miles from Moscow, she's scared. Truly terrified. Maybe the killer followed them here to her parents' house. At night in the dark, she clings to Hunter Johnson and keeps the bedroom light on. That's horrible. That's so sad for them. Neither of them walk anywhere alone after sundown. I wouldn't do that in Mexico anyways. The one night of my college life that I wasn't with Xana, someone murdered her. Was that person trying to hurt her? Is that person now stalking her? Emily's mom, Karen, feels helpless watching the two young adults walk around like zombies. The advice they receive from Bill Thompson's office is simply not to engage. Look at that. Karen regularly speaks to Jessica Hunter's mom, wondering what they can do to put an end to the online bombardment The advice they receive from Bill Thompson's office is simply not to engage. How about Bill Thompson? You're an idiot. When are you retiring, Bill? Let's talk about it. I can't wait to call him tomorrow and ask. We heard rumors you're retiring. How pissed is Ashley Jennings going to be when she doesn't become the next leader? Let's see. Oh. Damn it. Whose mom does? No way. Yeah. It is, isn't it? 64 social media identified. That's insanity. That's quite the hefty social media account for a mom. Oh, I see. I'm good. That's a lot of social media, man. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is somebody who's just a busybody. uh, um let's go over here. Bill Thompson, more like Ashley Jennings, just don't engage. But as every day passes, the speculation gets more. There are posts everywhere of old footage of Hunter wearing zip ties, answering the door at 1122 King Road to police who've been called about noise complaints. This raises questions online as to whether he was into bondage. What? dude, I'm sorry, but whoever was out there saying that type of shit, you guys, bondage. The zip ties, come on. Everybody knew that was a drinking game from jump. How could you even say that? Like, that's just so fucked. That's just so dumb. It's a fucking drinking game. I cannot stand stupidity. Yeah. He's just coming outside in whips and chains, man. Like, Rosie, you want to join? You know? He's listening to fucking Rihanna. Oh, she has a song like that. Emily rolls her fucking eyes. Hell yeah, Emily, you tell him. Put a dick in it. The truth is so what? Prosaic that if one was looking anywhere else salacious. Hunter answered the door to the cops. Yeah, because they were in the middle of a game of champagne shackles. Duh. And Hunter and Kaylee were the only members of the group of legal drinking age. Duh. Another internet sleuth, Jonathan Lee Riches. Oh, fucking JLR. JLR took a bad spill, I heard. I heard that JLR was running around fucking boots on the ground and slipped. Is that true? Is it any confirmation on that? We need boots on the ground for his boots on the ground. Moto Man, they were setting someone up to be framed. Pretty much this is the best channel, super nice. Totally. Fuck yeah. 7 months worth of nice kindness over here, Donna. You know it. You know it. Ms. Potts. Finally. My God, the investigators seem to not have the investigative spirit in them from that career path. Every second sentence makes most of Yeah. Yeah, they're just fucking awesome. So I think that JLR took a bad spill. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Cheers to JLR slipping and falling. Cheers. I want to know chains whips excite me. Yeah, see, I told you guys it was a Rihanna song. I want to know how Hunter Chapin, where his phone went. I do want to know that. I don't think he has anything to do with anything. I'm just curious where the phone went, how his phone wasn't working. So, but another internet so Jonathan Lee Riches makes a YouTube video suggesting that Xana's dad had put a lock on the King Road house front door the week before the murders because he was worried that Emily threw wild parties there. That is not the story that I heard. The story that I heard is that Emily wasn't welcomed there anymore. But Emily, it's suggested, is someone the police are looking at as the possible murderer. You guys, that's crazy. What? Emily would, dude. Emily was the one that was like, "What the fuck? You guys put out a vandal alert, and we're sitting here, and this is how we have to find out about this. Shame on you." You know what I mean? Like that's. By God. Well, according to Ashley Banfield, Ann Taylor has power of attorney over Kara Northington. So there's that. They never corrected that record to this day. In fact, Xana's dad never put a lock on the door on the King Road house. At her wit's end, Hunter's mom, Jessica, phones Chief Fry. Please, she says, can you do something to stop this? Can you say publicly that they aren't suspects? The next day, Fry gives a press conference. He states that the surviving roommates, all the others at the house that morning, the ride share driver, you guys, this was before they went and processed his car. The ride share driver and the man in the hooded sweatshirt seen outside the food truck are not being treated as suspects. And that is just a complete and utter lie, because now we have these police reports that clearly show that, fuck, they're over here like, Josie, why are you lying? Why are you always lying, girl? Like, you're not in bed. You're running around with your phone. You know, but more importantly, hoodie guy. Dude, they put a fucking whole team on his ass. Like 7 ISP dudes were following him back-to-back days. And somehow, all he managed to do was go to the gas station and make loops in Boise. And he managed to somehow lose them. It's just bizarre. Absolutely bizarre. And then, so Fry comes out and says this. For 24 hours, there is reprieve online. But then it explodes again, even worse than before. Emily and Karen think this is partly because the Gonsalves family sat for a TV interview in which Christy said that the police might have cleared people too quickly. And Steve appeared to agree. Karen and Emily understand that Steve and Christy want to find the murderer, but they wish that they hadn't been articulated. But why do they think that's about them? You guys, I'm sorry, but when they came out and said that they're just clearing people, what? Nobody's cleared at all. I would just be saying things like everyone's cooperating with investigators. Fucking A, man. Unbelievable. But all I know is that they want to know. They're like, we want to know what this person's real alibi. Remember, it was about a girl. Well, she has a really solid alibi. And then Steve's like, well, I want to know what their alibi is. Well, Steve, because of the Scott Peterson case, this is why we don't give out alibis. But did they really think? So my guess is that Emily and her family thought that Steve thought this about Emily. I highly doubt that. I don't know that they thought that. I don't know. The G said a lot of things they should have never said. Flag guy. Fucking flag guy. What else? Okay. It's the first time that the families affected most by the murders disagree as to what the right path of action is to bring whoever did this to justice. but it won't be the last. I said, why is Emily's mom being a Karen? Her name's really Karen, though. It's just a joke. Anyways, so we have to go back and look at this all, but because he has sources, and then these people were talking. They talked. They talked. You know, here we go. So I'll go back to this. Conflicting information has been released over the past 24 hours. Latah County Prosecutor's Office stated that the suspects specifically looked at this residence and that one or more of the occupants were undoubtedly targeted. We have spoken with the Latah County Prosecutor's Office and identified this was a miscommunication. Detectives do not currently know if the residents or any occupants were specifically targeted, but continue to investigate. Why was this so important to do if you are Bill Thompson? Like, why would you need to clear this up? First of all, I just have a question, which is, why are you even taking interviews? Bill Thompson never does this type of thing. Bill Thompson's doing interviews. Bill Thompson then says, if you knew what I knew, you would send your kid to school there. But more importantly, we all now know that Bill Thompson was making all of the calls, all of the decisions. And so that there is no way that Bill Thompson was on the wrong page, right? This book, actually, you can use it to show that there's inconsistent statements or that there's other sources and their statements are interesting because I don't think that James Patterson was just like, here, I'm going to just write whatever. But we're going to find all that out on our own because I'm writing James Patterson. So yeah. So here you go. The Post quotes Steve Gonsalves telling Fox News right after Thanksgiving that he was frustrated because the police hadn't spoken to him in 3 days. We're the same family that found the original timeline. We're the same family that broke into the phones. We tried everything in our ability. In fairness, Gonsalves has another source of stress he keeps private. The family has been getting threats in the mail and online. Steve is concerned for the safety of his youngest daughters. But when he tells the police this, the reaction is underwhelming. Tell them to be aware of their surroundings is the unsatisfactory response. You guys, that is 100% nuts. While a killer is on the loose and your kid was just murdered and now you're getting threats at home and online saying, especially the ones that would have been mailed, but are you kidding me? How do I know that my that somebody couldn't be coming after somebody in my family? Just tell them to be aware. Okay, sounds great. Thanks. When Evan Ellis interviews the chief in the midst of all of this, Fry blows off a bit of steam. He tells Ellis that he's discovered the national media disappointingly is focused only on the story and money. Thank you. Boom. And this is why I cannot believe that Chief Fry and these fuckers gave all of their interviews to the mainstream media, even after seeing this shit. So he doesn't tell Ellis, at least not on the record, what he thinks privately. He has tremendous sympathy for the Gonsalves family, but he wishes they would say less to the media. It makes police less inclined to share developments with them. Because the one thing that would ruin the investigation is for someone to know too much about it and talk about it on TV. Sue their asses, Steve. Sue them all. Do you guys know that the church even has its own bar? It's called Tapped in Moscow. Oh, here's a reminder about Papa Rogers one last time. Since Vargas was on a hunt to find out, the Christ Church has a bar. They own a bar. It's called Tapped. All right, let's take a look at this. Papa Rogers. Roger that, bitch. CDG. So Vargas doesn't even spell it right when she's searching Papa Rogers. So Papa Rogers garners attention very quickly with a startling opinion. Of the evidence released, the murder weapon has been consistent as a large fixed blade knife. This leads me to believe they found the sheath. This evidence was released prior to autopsies. Until now, aim at all the theories and speculation on the page. No one has mentioned a knife sheath. Now let's really talk about it. Think about this. This sheath is everything in this case. And how in the world are you saying that the FBI, Idaho State Police, and the police, local Moscow over here, you're going to sit here and tell me that they don't know who Papa Rogers is? They absolutely do. 1,000%. And I believe it's law enforcement. I believe that this was designed to sniff out if the killer was actually in the group. And this is a way to sniff that out. This is a total fucking cop move. And I personally believe that Papa Rogers is 100% a cop. And the reason that they've never said who Papa Rogers is because they're not going to say that it's them. And if it was somebody else, I believe that we would know. Like, why isn't there anything about like what's the identity? Like, Papa Rogers has been identified. Papa Rogers has been nothing. Get out of here, man. Okay, so Papa Rogers gets pushback and he argues with people who disagree with him. A user named Dustin Stubblefield responds, due to the number of victims and assuming each victim was stabbed multiple times, I'm sure that there was visible evidence of a knife guard. For all we know, the investigators on the scene wiped a couple stab wounds clean to look for bruising. I think it's far more logical than finding a sheath. Sheaths are usually attached to a belt. Now, who do we think Stubblefield is? Usually what good trolls do is that they have conversations with themselves. So you have a cop coming on here trolling, and then you normally will have the troll account speaking with their own self. And so I also believe that this Stubblefield account is 100% law enforcement. And what I believe that they're getting at here is, remember, Kaylee had different wounds. Okay. So I believe that this account is talking to themselves. Papa Rogers writes back, they don't clean bodies at a crime scene. The amount of blood must have been tremendous. Stubblefield, who knows? Finding a left behind sheath seems like a stretch, though. Papa Rogers, why? They are very specific about the weapon, but vague about every other detail. Stubblefield, I think it's more likely they did closer examination on the wounds on scene than you think. Papa Rogers, why are you debating the sheath theory so hard? Because who would carry a sheath? Who would carry a large exposed knife? Do you not see that this is somebody is speaking to themselves? Okay, nobody else is engaged in this. This gives me 2021 vibes when literally people that I know would talk to themselves with their alt accounts. And I'm like, you are fucking fucked. You are just a fucked human. But this is Papa Rogers talking to themselves. That's what's happening right here. And they want someone to engage so goddamn bad. And they're trying to get people to talk about this because they are trying to see if people will start talking about it. They're trying to get more information. They think the killer is in the groups because of the BAU. Especially if they think for a second that this person has law enforcement background, which they did. A picture of a K-bar knife is posted for everyone to study. Papa Rogers. How did the killer hold the knife prior to entering the scene, in your opinion? I would guess he carried it in his hand from wherever he came from. A knife in a sheath could cause him problems. Which hand? I don't freaking know, LOL. Why would you even ask that? So a knife wielding person walked from where and entered this house at what point with a large knife in hand? How in the hell would I know that? Listen, why is this person getting so weird about getting super defensive? You were just having a conversation and now you want to like get all drama with it. Like, look at, I think it's more likely they did a close examination on the wounds on scene than you think. And now all of a sudden, because who would carry a sheath, right? But now all of a sudden they're like, I'm going to get all weird and like, what do you mean? I don't freaking know. LL, why do you even ask that? Are you fucking kidding me? This is drama. That like you're engaging perfectly fine here. But now all of a sudden you think that this has gone too far. I don't think that it's gone too far at all. What do you mean? I think that's a great question. Which hand? Which hand? I would just say, I don't know, whatever hand the fucking killer is, I guess. I wouldn't be walking around with my weak hand. Papa Roger says, so boom, boom. How in the hell would I know that? What do you mean? You just said that you don't think there's a sheath involved. So the person just walked in with a knife. Like I'm agreeing with Papa Rogers here. Like Papa Rogers says, do you carry a knife? Dude, give it a rest. You sound like a psycho. Look at this. Look at this. I don't think there's anything weird about, do you carry a knife? Like, are you a knife person? I think that's perfectly, like, I would ask that. Do you carry a knife? Like, how do you had such a strong opinion about it, and now now it's psycho talk. Yeah. And then members start messaging Christine and Elena asking, who the heck is Papa Rogers? Why? Why is he so arrogant? Why do you guys want Papa Rogers to be fucking Brian so bad when he's not? And why is he focused on the knife sheath? I don't know. The person whoever wrote it is fucking smart, right? Because there was a sheath there, right? Look at all these idiots now. Fucking dumbasses. Christina, okay. Christina and Allie wonder if Papa Rogers is ex-military, given his strange profile pic and he's seeming expertise in crime. What? You guys, how is that one comment expertise in crime? I'm sorry, but wild. They notice that he posts fairly regularly, sometimes multiple times a day, like all of you fucking people in that group do. And his questions and opinions seem to contain a certain McCabe with insight. Who is he? Well, I believe the killer or killers, that's such as LE, came from the high side of the house. They were covered in blood after the attack. I feel like blood ran down a few places, but it has been suppressed. I feel like blood ran down a few places, but it has been suppressed. The kitchen was dripping blood, but they won't admit it. Well, actually, what it is now we found out that the kitchen wasn't dripping with blood. What they did is they threw that shit up on the cabinets. Okay. But I feel like that he wrote that on purpose to see if anybody would respond and say no, that that's just the whatever they used. Did the killer or killer's driver walk to and from the scene? Thoughts. Why did the killer choose a knife as the weapon of choice? Did the killer stop at 4 victims out of exhaustion, convenience, or lack of knowledge? Now, that is interesting to me because at that time, we have no idea, okay, that there's actually a witness to this motherfucking crime in Dillon, supposedly, allegedly, right? Why do we think the dog was spared? Well, because I don't think the dog was there. I think like Dillon saying, like, I have no idea how the police found the dog because the dog wasn't there. Basically, is what she says. That she like, I have no idea where they found the dog. Let's see. Why did the killer choose that house over all the others in the area? Now, isn't that the truth? How long do we think the killer was in the house? Do we think the killer took anything from the house? You guys, this is law enforcement. Like a motherfucker, man. I cannot believe that this group like lost their shit over this. I'm sorry, but I don't think I was never in this group. None of those things. I think that those are great questions, right? Great questions. Christina Googles Papa Roger to see if there's any clue as to the person's real identity. All that pops up in her search. What? All that pops up is the incel martyr. Or this is how they got an Elliot Roger. Are you kidding me? Papa Rogers got you to that. Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here. Christine clocks us, but the connection seems too vague. Just the spelling of the name Roger. For her to do anything dramatic like report him to the police. She didn't report them to the police. That didn't garner a tip. Well, yeah, it did. Because Vargas worked on it. But neither she nor Elena likes his arrogant tone or the darkness of some of his thoughts. The darkness. So they decide to keep an eye on Papa Roger's posts. One reason they are particularly sensitive to the content and tone on the page is that Olivia's sister, she's in there. Christine had reached out to her on Facebook Messenger. Olivia responded with her phone number. A relationship developed between Olivia and the two founders. But there was a bump when Christine asked Olivia to participate in a Vice documentary about the Facebook page founders, and Olivia said no bluntly. Cry about it, saddlebags. Fucking retards. And no, Kaylee was not on OnlyFans. No, Steve Gonsalves is not promoting any product on TV. No, there was no deal for Kaylee's Range Rover. No, the family never said this attack was targeting Kaylee. Finally, no, I do not know who killed her. I wish I did, and I can promise you that I will find him and I will know. But I am not. I think that's, but I am not. But I am still getting there piece by piece. I think that she made some statement. That was back then. Do they still continue on about Papa Roger? Yeah. Oh, here you go. Ready? This is November 30th. So, this is when they had what was it? I think it was a Candlelight Vigil. The Kibby Dome. Yeah, this is when they had that. A crowd of about 30 young people all dressed alike. Despite him, all the gravity of the situation, he chuckles. They're undercover FBI agents. I don't know who told them all to dress like college students, he said, but they all look like lumberjacks. Plaid shirts, blue jeans, and boots. So they had about 30 undercover cops, FBI agents there, and they were all dressed in plaid shirts, blue jeans, boots, and faking like they were college students, but they were really cops. Well, that's the to me that's still on the table. Baby lumberjacks, anyways. So woo-wee. All right. Papa Rogers. Oh, I'm gonna be ending this. Anything else you guys have here? Last 10 minutes. We're gonna end it here in 10. What else? Oh, okay. So what we know facts. Dude, where is the facts? Where are the facts besides the phone on so basically Emily texted Xana, and Xana never returned Emily's text message that night, but yet she was on TikTok zooming the TikTok thread. I don't think anybody's blocked, but yep. You go check out those sweet ass hoodies. I cannot believe that somehow you guys nobody is blocked. I cannot believe that people literally thought that Dylan heard Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, and Xana all communicating in the living room. Think about that. Where the fuck did that come from? None of these two girls even mention Ethan or Xana. And yet somehow Ethan and Xana, Maddie, Kaylee, all talking in the living room, it gets said. The geofence. Would they've ever set up a geofence to see who was in the area between like 11 and 12? If there was something off between 11 and 12, if they thought that the killer had gone in and was waiting around. Man, Silent G must have blocked a bunch of us by mistake. I don't know how. Silent G's blocking everybody. I'm just kidding. I have no idea. How? Why would anybody even think to know that? Like Silent G blocking anybody? Because you wouldn't be able to see it if they were posting anyways. I don't understand. Anyways, that's not part of the conversation. So who was calling the shots? Like, who legit was calling the shots? Bill Thompson? Who was calling the shots? How was anybody, go look at these lab reports. How was anybody being ixnayed as a potential person, like a person of interest, when they're not even submitting shit to the lab? How was Molly McMichael's motherfucking DNA never fucking gathered? How does somebody say, you know what, we're not going to get Molly's DNA? Molly is literally at the front door of the murder house at 4 a.m. Nothing to see here. We're going to look into Eric Grower's car, but we're not going to look into Molly's car. We're not going to wonder why Molly changed her phone number. Or, I'm sorry, got a new phone. We're not going to wonder why Molly has 4 new tires. I mean, Molly didn't come forward and say, hey, I was a DoorDasher. Why have we never seen Molly's? Like, we know that a DoorDash came to that residence, but we have no idea. It wasn't Molly's. Well, they're saying that Molly's. I want to see Molly's motherfucking picture that she left the food, because they're saying that it doesn't exist. So she didn't take a picture. Why did the FBI just show up on 11/13? Like, what time did they get there? And who's just walking around with an FBI jacket? Who are these people? What did these people know, and when did they know it? Why did nobody write reports? Why does it seem like certain people are in the know and certain people aren't, and we're going to send them off on wild tangents? Hey, yeah, this is what you can go do. Like Danny Vargas, for example. Hey, go be a gopher on these days and drop shit off, pick stuff up. That's like one of your detective. I would be like, what? Why the fuck am I picking stuff up and dropping stuff off? That is not what you give, I'm sorry, somebody that has talent to drive and pick stuff up, drop stuff off. Where is the interview with Papa Rogers? There is not a single report from the numbers in the 500 of reports for the Idaho State Police, and there's not a single report out of the 314 from Moscow for them. You're telling me Papa Rogers wasn't a tip at all? It had to be a tip. Ann Taylor, why did you tell your client to take a plea deal? I mean, damn. That's what Bella tells me every day. Well, Ann Taylor told me to take a plea deal for a reason. Well, Ann Taylor could have done all these things and she didn't. Why would she ever be telling him to take a plea deal? If she truly believed that he was innocent, would you, Lan, if you were a lawyer, would you tell Brian to take a plea deal if you thought he was innocent and he's maintaining his innocence? I was like, I just need to know what their oath is, though. When you're if somebody asks you for your advice and you take a certain oath for being a, death penalty, I want to know if there's anything that goes with that. But If you tell me that you're innocent and I'm finding all this shit out and that this is like the most fucked up shit I've ever seen, and the only thing they have on you is the fact that in which the stuff that they would have never had is this touch DNA on a sheath that I believe they obtained by lying in a probable cause affidavit. And I would think that my client had a bunch of outs as well with appeals. No, I'm not telling him to take a plea deal. Again, if a motherfucker says that he didn't do it, if he asks me, what do I think and what do? I say, well, Brian, I think that you're lying to me. And I think that you're going to get convicted. I mean, what do you mean? I don't know. I don't think that this case is going anywhere ever until it sees the inside of a courtroom again. I just I think certain cases shouldn't be allowed to be pled out. And that if you go into it, that you're treating it like it's a death penalty case. How does a death penalty case and you're seeking death, right? Because this is like the worst of the worst type of cases. Why are you fucking like you only? How does it lead to a plea deal when you're seeking the death penalty? And you take it all the way to literally the dance is right here. And hey, I don't think that this should be allowed. I have a huge fucking problem with millions of dollars being spent and people making a shit ton of money for 2.5 years. Think about how many people made a ton of money. I have a problem with that. Knowing that they were never going to take it, never going to go to trial. Meanwhile, we're talking about a ton of money being shelled out to these defense attorneys, to these prosecutors, to the whole fucking goddamn system. And the only people that are getting fucked are the victims and the citizens. And I have a problem with that. And then they think that they're going to cover their asses by redacting FOIA requests unlawfully over redaction. So we're going to go for it. We're going to see if we can make some moves. I'm going to put an injunction in. I'm going to fucking argue. If I have to argue myself, I don't give a fuck. I know what they're doing is not okay. They're hiding what they've done. I mean, and who goddamn dare? Like, the reason it's costing so much money to turn over stuff is because they're over here saying, well, first of all, it's taking so long because there's only a couple of us that are handling the FOIA requests. What do you mean? You go get the item, you redact date of birth, but you don't get to sit there and go through something for hours upon hours upon hours and say, hey, okay, did we get everything? Did we get everything that we need to redact before we put this out? And then I got to pay because it took you guys 14 hours to do something that should have taken you 10 minutes. Fuck you, man. What are you doing? You don't get to, oh, hey, oh God, this part really makes you look bad. Should I redact that? Or should I just cut this video off a little bit? Where's Hippler? Where's Hippler and his dude? It's been over a month since these lawyers have put in, hey, is anybody objecting here to any of this being unsealed? Well, the defense goes and files under seal. The prosecution files not under seal. So I looked at all their shit. I mean, they filed all of these exhibits. All of these exhibits. I want the cell rate of just 3 days from all these people. I want all the cell. I want all the data. I want the They all had iPhones. I want the health data. I want the steps. I want the stairs of every phone, and that's it. And it's only a couple pages worth because I only want a couple days, so it's only a couple pages. And I want the name of the person's phone that it is. And all I'm asking for is steps and stairs and the date, just the health data. That's it. I'm not asking for geolocations. I want to see the steps. I want to see when the phones are moving. You take a step with that phone, it's going to move. It's going to show that it moved. But people that said they were sleeping, do they actually have it? Yes, they have it. And once we get these reports, in these expert reports, they've taken excerpts from these devices and put them in their reports to show, hey, at this time, blah, blah, blah. They did that whole big connection. I know for a fact that they would have looked at all these cell phones and saw who's were in the area, where they're moving, where they're normally at, history patterns, and like when certain phones were ever together at the same time over the course of the past 3 months, over the course of the past 6 months. And so I guarantee you, with one of those reports, they're going to show that Kaylee, Maddie, Ethan, Xana, and Brian Culber's cell phones at no point in time were ever together at the same time in a location. Let's see how many fucking stairs Bethany or Dylan registered on their phones on 11/13. I hope for their sake, I hope it's fucking 0. I hope it's 0. But if there is so much as one single flight of stairs that is registered because when you go down a flight of stairs, it does not register on your phone. It's when you go up. And so if there is a flight of stairs that's been registered on either one of their devices between 4 a.m. and 11 a.m., if there is even one flight of stairs, in my opinion, they are FUCK'd. Because that's bullshit. There should not be a flight of stairs. They came down. Dylan came down. It would not register a flight. Even if you go down the stairs, you have to go up a flight. And so there should be no flight of stairs on Dylan's phone after 4 a.m. Fuck, there shouldn't be one after 2 a.m. But let's see. If there is, that's a problem. A big one. And then if Bethany has one on her phone, holy shit. Holy shit is a lot to say. Then now, what about them moving around? So if you stand up with your phone and you get up out of bed and you take some steps, well, if their phone literally shows more than just a couple steps being took at any point in time, what were these two girls doing? Running in place on a treadmill in the room? Doing jumping jacks? Like, how can you register 20 steps? How can you register 200 steps in a 10-minute period? What the fuck are you doing? So I want to see that type of stuff. Then I guarantee you in these reports, they're going to have to say, if you think that a phone is being, if you're going to claim that this person did not sleep because they were on their phone making manual, like, it's one thing if your phone had like an update or something like that. We're talking about commanding something where your phone has to be used by a human. And that's what I think the phones show. And so then you're lying. They're just frozen in bed. Yeah, no. Just show me that those phones aren't moving and they would get a lot of points. But I guarantee you that you're not getting the experts that you're getting to come onto a case and to say the stuff that that they've already kind of said. And it's going to go way more deep into it. Those phones are Why do you think Josie had to be called back in? Because Josie's phone, I'm telling you, is registering flights of stairs and hell steps. No doubt about it. So much so that go listen to that interview that she gave. And it's like, did that somehow get back to Steve Gonsalves? And he was like, well, we want to know more about Josie's alibi. Because that to me is who I would think is who you could say that to. Because I want to know how she ever went to. No kid goes to bed that's in college without their cell phone. Their cell phone is attached to them. What do you mean your cell phone was in the car? I don't buy that for a second. I don't buy that the phone was just in the car. Then that means that the phone wouldn't have had to take any. I want to know when the steps stopped and then when they restarted. And there better be a big ass gap. And I don't think there's going to be. You would remember, oh my God, last night, holy shit. Remember when I walked outside and I went and got my phone out of the car? Holy fucking shit. Because that's important. You'd say like, remember, she's the interview that we don't have the audio for. They're trying to say that the audio does not exist, that Blaker fucked up so bad that there's no audio in that interview with Josie's on a vacation. She's the one. She's the one that we don't have the audio for. She's the person that the FBI basically had to say, your phone's telling us something other than what you're saying. Oh, yeah, I did. I woke up and I didn't have my phone with me, and so I had to run out to my car and get it. What? You guys, you would have been, after you found out that your friends were murdered and it was in the middle of the night, you would have said to yourself, holy shit, I fucking left the apartment last night and I was running out to the car. And then you would be thinking like, where do you park at? Oh, I just park right here, right in front of my building. So I just have to go run down. And so I ran down to my car, got my phone. Well, why was your phone in your car? When were you in your car that you left it in the car? That just seems to me that it'd be something like, oh my God, that's when I went out to my car at like 3 or 3:30 in the morning. What do you remember seeing? Remember these people that are saying that they ran into people? Okay, so for example, we have these interviews where someone's like, oh, when I was leaving, I ran into so-and-so. Well, so do you see how if somebody was to say, oh, so-and-so, we did an interview, and they said that they saw you outside and you were, oh God, yeah. Is that one of the things that also alerted? Someone's like, yeah, no, we went to their house. We were hanging out with them. I know that that's what one of these kids is claiming, that he was hanging out with Hunter and Emily, and it was like 10:30, and she wasn't sleeping. So, thus this kid's lying. I want to know why some of the people over there are saying that these people were into drugs, and other of them are like, oh my God, we don't even touch that shit. Well, guess what? Dave tells me that you guys get rowdy, and that you guys are taking fucking, like, they're called roller coasters or something like that. Doing uppers and downers at the same time or something like that. And that now, come to think about it, that's the type of shit that Molly probably walks around with in her pockets. Like, you guys want some Pop Rocks? Here you go. Anyways, on that note, thank you all for joining. What we know, what the facts are, what we can prove. The cops will say, what were we told? What's the information that we cannot prove, but we have to try to verify, and we can't? And then what are the logical inferences from the evidence? What can we take? So when you have a list like this and you start placing things under things, that's what you would do in an investigation. And I would love to have seen how they work their whiteboard. I would love to see what would be under known facts. I'd love to see what you guys were told. What's the information that you guys were told but cannot prove, you cannot verify, but this is what we were told. And then what did you put in the column of, hey, this is inferences that we can take from certain evidence. We can't prove it, but they're just logical inferences. And I'm telling you, what would be under here is that they're going to try to say that it's logical for us to say that Ethan and Xana got home at, X amount of time because they're going to talk about his pants. Like, and then you have to say, okay, give me a picture with Ethan and showing that he was wearing something different at Sigma Chi. So, hey, it's logical to think that the car that's speeding away at 420 is the murder vehicle. What? Well, yes and no. But their whiteboard would be as blank as yours. Yeah. So, anyways, you guys are great. Love you guys so much. I believe, I agree with you. James Patterson had access to a shit ton of things because you know why? People cannot help but want to be important. People cannot help but want to be important. And and I think Emily was lied to by Dylan left and right. So I think that Emily lied to Dylan. I mean, Dylan lied to Emily. I think Dylan lied to Emily every step of the way. And Emily's over here probably like, yeah, why didn't we ever think about that? Jack Showalter is so short, yet Dylan was trying to say that the person was 6 feet tall. Like, that's like the first thing that I'd be like, Dylan, he's 6 feet tall, right? So then Jack Showalter's out. Jack Showalter is like 5'7", 5'6". He's little. Itty bitty thing. I want Jack Showalter on the show. Let's just call out motherfucker. Jack Showalter, if you're out there, I want to go shot for shot with you. You can call out all these motherfuckers. Say, listen here, you little fucks. Can't believe you guys thought that I would. Dude. Unreal. And then let's talk about Dylan lying about texting Eric Grower and then Eric Grower texting her back. And then let's talk about her saving numbers and lying. I mean, this is just, these people have to wonder, like, wow, you guys just totally lied to us. Or they're just like, guys, we're so fucked up. We don't remember doing any of this stuff. So you guys just did this in your sleep. So like every time we hung out with you guys were just sleep fucking playing around. I mean, I don't know. I've gone to college and I've seen and witnessed people get fucked up, and I've just never heard of anybody just talking about blaming hallucinating on drinking. Never heard that in my life. God, I was hallucinating because I did fucking five White Claws, man. Hallucinating. Please. All right, guys. See you on the next one.